If you've ever felt like you're just ready for a market sell-off so we can get back to things that make sense, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. It is time for another Benzinga Market Edge live episode. Great to see a bunch of returning faces here today. We got Red Dog, T3 Tuesday coming up. We're going to have some fun today. Let's get started. Good morning, folks, and happy Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. We're back for another episode of Benzinga's Market Edge Live, and we are one day away to the Fed decision, but we've got some stuff to cover in the meantime. Do have some news stories out overnight across the stocks that we look at every single day, so let's go ahead and dive into that. Also, keep in mind, today is a T3 Tuesday. I know we're doubling up on T3 content here this week, but we got the big dog. We got Red Dog here today. We're going to go ahead and ask him about some setups. We're going to go ahead and talk to him about prop trading and all of that stuff that he is watching on a regular basis. Good morning out there to all you early birds. Great to see people filing in here early in the morning. Kayla, welcome back. Big of Bees, welcome back. Awesome Market Sniper, welcome back. Gary, good morning, my man. Hopefully you're doing well. Bernard, good morning. Hopefully you're doing well. Ralph, good morning. Nice to see you here. Drew, welcome back. Hustle and bustle. And it would not be a morning if we did not start it with white chocolate mocha. Welcome back. Seahorse Trading, welcome back. Good to see all of you here today. All right, let's go ahead and start with the SPY. Let me go ahead and bring that screen share on here. Boom. Also going to bring on some of the movers here so you can keep an eye on those movers as we're talking here this morning. Now, looking at the SPY here, again, one day out until we get the big economic event of the week here. And guess what? Futures red across the board here. S&P futures down almost 0.5% here, actually at the lows of the pre-market. Dow futures down 0.5% here, and NASDAQ futures down 0.3% here. So I know we were green arrows across the board yesterday. Well, today, it is the opposite. We are red arrows across the board. So let's see where the market finishes up. Now, taking a look at where the SPY is here. Let's make this a little bit easier for y'all folks to see. Here we go. We're actually starting to, we're actually carrying on a pattern here, right? You had a little bit of a green day, 2 red down days, then a green day that takes us almost back to balance, 2 red days, green day, and now we're getting the first of the red day here. So we'll see if this pattern continues. We'll see if we end up finishing lower here today on the SPY. The downside level that I'd be watching sticks out like a sore thumb on this chart here. It is that purple or fuchsia line that is going to be 601.68. If you want to call that 601.5, be my guest. That'll work too. We definitely are going to watch that 20-day moving average to the downside if we do end up trading down here. Now, if we end up trading up, a couple of things that I want to take a look at. Obviously, the trend line, which is now higher than it was yesterday, but we also want to watch the high of yesterday's candle, right? So that high was 607.78. So your key levels for the day here are going to be 607.78 on the upside, 601.68 on the downside, and your daily SPY pivot here, 606.59. Those are your key levels for the SPY here today. We'll see how the SPY trades and how we end up finishing up here today. Now, first stock that we're going to go into. Good morning, Neville. Good morning, The Clip. Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, Hustle and Bustle. And good morning, JJ. Let me tell you something, JJ. Your Bills, they look like the team to beat this year. And Josh Allen pretty much sealed up that MVP this weekend, didn't he? So pretty awesome stuff there. Go Bills. All right. Let's go ahead and start talking about some of the individual names. We're going to start with Nvidia. We had a great discussion about Nvidia yesterday. We talked to Matt Maley about this. Matt Maley gave us really good stuff here on Nvidia. And look at this, lower we go. So it sure seems like, and this is again what we said yesterday, sure seems like Nvidia is on the way to its 100-day moving average. That value here this morning, 128.08. So if you just want to call that 128, be my guest. We do have some news here. Jim Cramer warns Nvidia's, quote, vicious and fast reversal is coming amid a 174% surge this year and China antitrust probe. So what do we think? Do we have the inverse Cramer here? Is this the Cramer kiss of death where he says something good about a company and then that company absolutely plummets? Are we going to do the opposite here? Cramer saying that we're looking for a fast and vicious reversal. Now, the one thing, just to kind of give Cramer some credit here, the one thing that just looking at 2024, this stock here from 2024, split adjusted stock is $48.50. $48.50. This stock is, pretty much almost a full triple in 2024 alone. So just looking at the range, the recent range of the year, yeah, this is absolutely possible. A vicious and fast reversal is absolutely possible. But it's Cramer after all. So maybe we actually tap this 100-day moving average and then rip to new highs. Would that really surprise anybody, especially after Cramer gives it his blessing? You tell me. I'd love to know. We're actually going to run, I think, a couple of polls here today. We're going to wait a little bit to do that. But I'd like to know what you folks think here about NVIDIA. Do we continue to trade back down here? Or do we actually move back up to new highs? The thing about NVIDIA trading down is I really do think that that's going to be better for us on the whole, right? There's going to be more stocks for us to trade as holders of this start to spread out to other areas of the market. That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe that's the optimist in me, but I've got my fingers crossed. That's what it's for. So, okay, good stuff there on NVIDIA. Next stock here, it has to do with Meta. Actually, it has to do with TikTok and Meta here. TikTok, Meta. TikTok turns to Supreme Court in a last-ditch effort to avert the ban. We've seen the TikTok ban headlines affect other social media companies, most notably Meta, or perhaps Snapchat. Pinterest, you might also throw in here. NVIDIA, excuse me. Meta holding up here near highs. We've actually did break out and we kind of drifted higher here into those new highs. Kind of just drifting around here. We are a little extended from these moving averages. As far as a long trade, I'd like to come back in on these. But man, Meta, we just talked about NVIDIA being a huge mover here. Meta also pretty huge mover here in 2024. Let's see, stock was $341. This is a double pretty much. Just in 2024. So another really high performing stock. We'll see if Meta ends up coming in here. We'll see what that TikTok ban does. As someone that doesn't use TikTok, I got to say, it feels pretty good that I can just kind of sit on the sidelines here and really not worry about any of this. However, if we do find a trading opportunity, I'd like to take advantage of that. So we'll see here if we get any news on that TikTok ban. But just looking where Meta is, we're holding here pretty steady. All right, now the big piece of news that I feel like everyone's waiting for. Let's see. NVIDIA to the floor, hustle and bustle. Let me know if I answered your question there. 3D saying lucky Tuesday. Let's hope, fingers crossed for a lucky Tuesday. I could sure use that. ONDS has been great, so let's really set it here. Zebev saying, but it's the Bills though, LOL. Yeah, let's hope the wide right doesn't really come into play later this year. Am I right? Okay. You folks, let's see. RCAT. We will cover RCAT earnings. Yes. Oh, I see. So it was the producer that mentioned RCAT. Well, producer, that's a good segue. Let's go ahead and get that there. Good morning. Stay focused. Great to see you here. Is this the new Buffalo Bills show? Go Bills. Look, stay focused. We talk about winning football teams around here, so I'm not even going to mention the Chicago Bears. LOL. Anyway, let's get back. We're actually a stock show. So we'll talk about stocks instead. Let's get back to it here. Let's cover RCAP because this has been a huge winner for our group. This I almost want to dub this thing like the mini Palantir or something like that, right? Feel like our entire group was on this to the long side and has made a whole bunch of money. Obviously, most notable, Carmen is holding this from 50 cents. Here we are in double digits. That is absolutely awesome. Now, what's going on here? Red Cat Holdings. Q2 earnings, revenue, and an EPS missed the estimates as the drone company prioritizes long-term growth over short-term sales. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit here, but let me give you the actual numbers first. Okay. Red Cat, 18-cent loss on the EPS. This was wider than the 8-cent loss estimate that they had, and then 1.53 million in sales. This came up short of the 4.13 million sales estimate. Now, what's going on here? Why those misses? Well, I actually dug into the earnings report a little bit, and it seems to center around the Black Widow product that they have, the Black Widow drone, as opposed to the Teal 2 drone. Management said that they focused on the Black Widow instead of the Teal 2, which is why some of those sales were down and deliveries were down to meet the demands of the Army contract. Now, this is important because the Army contract is going to be their best contract. So I understand the company wanting to focus to meet the needs of that contract. To me, that makes sense. And it looks like what they're doing right now is they're taking a near-term hit in order to shore up some long-term sales there with that contract. So fingers crossed that that keeps working, although it does make sense here on the surface. Also worth noting that the Black Widow drone uses the Palantir software. So one of the reasons that we're here to begin with is because of the mention and how this is connected to Palantir. You folks know exactly how good Palantir has been moving here recently, so it's no surprise to see any other stock that has any type of connection to it also moving well. So the Black Widow drone uses Palantir software and can be carried in a rucksack. That makes it ideal for the Army contract, and it makes sense to me why ARCAT is kind of focusing on that instead of a different generation drone that might not meet some of those needs. So that's what's going on here with ARCAT. Now, the end result of all of that is that we're down 12.3% here in the pre-market. If we start here and we look on the daily chart, you can see we're right here at about $9. We're still above that 20-day moving average. So frankly, if we come in a little bit here post earnings, like if we take another leg down out of the open, I could absolutely see this trying to find some support there around 845. You want to call it 850? I'm not going to fight you on that either. So definitely has some more room to the downside if it continues to come in. If we take a look at the intraday chart here, you can see we are actually up off the low. So it looks like it already tested 850, did that yesterday in the after hours. And today we're actually sitting a little bit higher than that. So let's see what the volume looks like. Let's see how traders end up rewarding this. And let's see how it trades today. Overall, with the earnings report, I know it was a miss on both the top and the bottom line, but for future prospects, and if you're a long-term holder of this, they look to be kind of focusing on the future. And it doesn't seem like the story has changed at all. So I'm not going to, despite the stock being down 12.5% here, I'm not going to say that earnings was terrible. It just represents a near-term dip. Okay, next here, this is what, one of everybody, or close to one of the favorite stocks of the entire group here. It is Tesla, TSLA. Tesla stock booms to new high as analysts up the price target to 515. And also our article, Tesla will be the big winner in the Trump era. Now, we've already kind of seen that here since the election. This stock continues to melt up. Any of the Tesla holders will tell you this is a tech company. It's not a car company. To the moon, triple, all of this stuff here. Tesla just continuing to trade up there. Dan Ives recently said that this is going to be the biggest winner in the Trump era. And you can just take a look at this daily chart. It is going from 6 to midnight. We're pretty much going vertical here. Dan Ives, also predicted the NASDAQ at 25K. In 18 months, quote, get the popcorn out, end quote. So we'll see if we end up getting that here. Look at this Tesla. So we actually did a Fibonacci extension here. We talked about doing retracements. We talked about doing extensions. Boy, oh boy, am I glad that we did an extension here. It does look like we actually found some resistance here about this 391. And since then, this has just been no chill. The next level that I have, 520.23. That's notable because the price target that we just got here today is 515. Really not out of the question that we go there. Don't know if we're going to go there here today, but It sure looks like that is absolutely possible here. Tesla totally overcooked. RSI at about 83 on the daily chart. Let's take a look at some of the other charts here. Weekly chart, we've got it at just about 81. And monthly chart also overbought here at about 72. So Tesla just absolutely ripping. Been a huge winner for all of the longs here recently. Where does it end? I can't tell you, but we do have some ideas here based on those Fibonacci levels. I'm also going to ask Red Dog about Tesla here. I know that that's one of his banger trades and has been for a while. So we will absolutely go ahead and ask him about that. All right, next one here is going to be Microstrategy. This is another favorite stock of the group, I would say. Bitcoin continuing to rip here. Let's take a look. Bitcoin futures here. I've got this at 107,500. So the spot price slightly under that. Actually, we can just check the spot price here real quick. Crypto chart. Let's see what we got here. Spot price 107, 106 and change. Looks like it's flirting with that 107 number there. Bitcoin continuing to be strong here, continuing to rip, and that should positively affect Microstrategy here. Now, Microstrategy stock rises nearly 2% in the pre-market as Michael Saylor counters critics who label Microstrategy's Bitcoin play, quote, a Ponzi scheme. Okay, let's start here. First of all, a couple of things. I definitely want to give you the article. Let me go ahead and throw that here in the chat. I encourage you to check this out. On Happy Hour, we discuss Microstrategy quite often. We actually do have one of the members who refers to it as a Ponzi scheme. So it's interesting that this actual defense came out. Went ahead and threw that there in the chat for you. And then, of course, when we look at the daily chart here, we have the makings of something pretty good. It does look like, let me reset this. It does look like we're trying to invalidate this right shoulder, which would be great. We could totally invalidate this head and shoulders pattern here, and that would really make it feel pretty good about Microstrategy trading to the upside here. The support levels that we've recently identified still holding up here. The 380-340 is clearly a level, and then also this area in here, let's call it 360 to 378. That also seems to be holding here. We are above the 20-day moving average here on Microstrategy. I've got that value at 398.62. Let's see if we can end up pushing off here. Now, I will say, I consider myself a Bitcoin bull. I'm in this for the long term. I'm not really trading any of these back and forth moves here. So just take it with a grain of salt. But I will say here, the Microstrategy, the trading action yesterday, less than ideal. We had a huge pop on news of it being included in the index. It traded up to some of those highs, actually took out those highs, went as high as 437 here in the regular session. And in the last part of the session, this thing really sold off, pretty much gave back all of its gains. Now, what does that mean going forward? Could it launch from here? Yeah, absolutely. But generally speaking, when you have a positive piece of news and you retrace the entire stick there, not great action. We'll definitely keep an eye here on Microstrategy. Big shout out to the group who's done a really good job trading Microstrategy. I think we have stock and options traders here watching this stock. It moves like crazy. It gives us a lot of opportunity. Kudos to you if you're able to make some money about that. Robert Pesci, we will absolutely take a look at Rigetti. In fact, that quantum computing theme, which is why it's moving here again, seems to be up again here today. I've got several of those on the movers. We will absolutely take a look at that in a little bit. Lion Atlas says, I'm trading it, Ryan, in and out, and it's very liquid. And that you're referring to Microstrategy. Indeed, that's the case. The option contracts seem to be like that too, although it does seem to be quite spread. So keep that in mind. But Michael Saylor defending it. That article is fairly interesting. He basically explains how it's like Manhattan real estate in a way. So check it out. If you're interested in Microstrategy or Bitcoin as a whole, I encourage you to read the article right there in the chat. That's what's going on. Microstrategy up just shy of 1% here, up 0.75% in the pre-market. Okay. It is a beast. No question about that. Rivian. You guys want to take a look at Rivian? We'll go ahead and do that here. Let me add it to the list. I just want to roll through these news stories, and we can absolutely take a look at Rivian here today. Next piece of news I have is going to be on good old SMCI. and stay focused. I heard something from you yesterday that I'm going to repeat here today because I liked it so much. SMCI Super Micro drops below its 50-day moving average. That's going to be the yellow line here. It's also worth noting that converged with the 20-day moving average, and we seem to be pushing away from that to the downside. It faces NASDAQ 100 removal just months after being added. So SMCI, you remember we had all types of problems here with the accounting. The big thing is that they expect to have all of the missing or delayed reports out by, I think, February 25th is what they were saying. I'd have to go back and confirm that here from the news from yesterday. Who wants to hold this thing till February just to see if all of the problems are behind it? Stay focused. You had mentioned yesterday, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, so if you need me to publicly retract the statement for you, I'd be happy to do that. But you had mentioned that this kind of gives off Enron vibes. And I'll be honest, the longer that this drags out and the more we talk about it, it indeed does feel like it has some type of Enron vibe to it. So we talked about this yesterday multiple times. I have no interest in SMCI. Frankly, we find plenty of other opportunities here to trade regularly. This is certainly not something that I would swing, and I definitely don't want to invest in this given some of the question marks that it has. So SMCI, to me, at least at the moment here, this is really kind of a no touch. If you want to day trade it, I totally understand. Just know there's definitely some potential halt risk here with SMCI and accounting stuff. Accounting issues, always a big worry. That can be material. So just be careful with this one. That's the news that's going on here. It does drop below the 50. We've actually, taken a look at a lot of these levels here and tried to find these support levels. We're now a clean break under all of these support levels. I do think there's probably some support here at 20 and then maybe 18. And the price is currently at $33. So there might be some more downside here. We'll see on SMCI. Now, that is to say that, maybe it's not actually a fraud, and maybe they do get everything cleaned up, and maybe all of this, we'll look back on this a number of years later and say, oh man, I can't believe we were all worried. But if that's how you're going to play this, then good luck. I hope that works. I'd have your risk defined. I'd have a plan in either case, whether the stock goes up or down, just to make sure you don't get hurt on that. In the meantime, we'll look for something a little bit more palatable, a little bit easier to trade, a little bit easier to hold, maybe. Next and last on the list here is going to be Broadcom. This is ticker AVGO, and oh my goodness, what a monster. First of all, we're going to start early shout outs and early victory laps here. What the hell? Let's bring in Chewbacca as part of our victory lap as well. Anne-Marie gave out a Broadcom trade, I think it was last week, on the show here. I know we were struggling with some of the technical things recently, or the screen sharing and all that. She gave out a Broadcom trade. She threw it in pro. So this was a case that even if you were not subscribed to Benzinga Pro, you had an opportunity to take advantage of this trade. But if you were, boy, oh boy, your entire subscription could have been paid for with just this one trade. Look at this huge breakout here on Broadcom. 186.5 is that blue horizontal line. This thing just an absolute monster through that. That, of course, was on the earnings. Also, pay attention to the volume sticks here. So we have a huge move higher. The RSI is totally overcooked here at about 84. But look at the volume sticks. Man, oh man. Volume huge here on Broadcom. Broadcom mounts the strongest two-day rally in the history of the company. So since the IPO, strongest two-day rally right here. The leveraged ETF. Help me out with what that is. AVG. What is that? Here we go. 2x long. Here it is. AVGX, the Defiance Daily leveraged ETF. This is nearly a double in 2 sessions. 2 sessions. This thing's nearly a double. So I know last week we also had the webinar after our show about playing some of these ETFs into 2025. I'll be honest, folks. the more I think about that, the more smart people I talk to, I think that might be the way to go. A lot of these things really, really liquid. I have some pretty good opportunity here. This ticker AVGX 2x long Avago ETF, nearly a double in 2 sessions on the backs of those earnings. Just monster movement here. So real good stuff. Congrats to all of you Avago holders or all of you Broadcom holders here. Hopefully this was a really awesome earnings season for you, as that thing absolutely rocketed through that top end of the range there. Okay, let's see. We've got about 5 minutes until it's Red Dog time. Let's go ahead and start with Rivian. I did make it through all of the earnings that I wanted to talk about there. Real quickly, we have for economic events, we do have retail sales today in 5 minutes. We'll see if that moves the market. Might move XRT. We'll see how that plays out. But the big event is going to be tomorrow. The 2-day Fed meeting started today. We get the interest rate decision tomorrow. I will say there kind of has been some talk about maybe inflation's not totally solved yet. Maybe there will be a pause. The way I look at it, I think that the market probably has a cut priced in. Like to hear what you folks think. Producer, maybe we'll run a poll here today, a little bit later, maybe after Red Dog. On if we think people are, or if traders think there's going to be a cut or a pause. And then we can kind of save those results and then see how it actually trades tomorrow. And we can kind of do that going forward. So just kind of interesting. We'll see where that ends up going. Here's Rivian. This is another stock that you folks wanted to take a look at. Let me see. There was no news here today. I know there was news after the close yesterday. Couple of insider transactions there. Was that an insider sell? Nope, that one was from November. This one looks like that was some options changing hands there. So not the same thing. It is butting up. Lost all my settings here again. It is butting up to the 500-day moving average. So I will say this has been some pretty good trading action recently. We back here in the middle of November, we popped above the 200-day, could not hold it. Several weeks later, right after Thanksgiving, we actually retook that 200-day, consolidated above it, did not lose it. Very, very good technical thing that you want to see here. This is one of the reasons why I follow the 200-day so often. Now you can see we're really kind of pushing away from it, and now we're testing that 1555. So we take a look here at Rivian with all on the daily chart here, with all of the chart data that I've had. We've never been above the 500-day moving average. We have never been above. We've not even traded above it, let alone closing above it. So that will definitely be a key level here to watch on Rivian today. Are we able to trade above the 500-day, in this case 1555? And if we are able to trade above that, can we close and hold above that? That would be pretty good here for Rivian. I want to take a quick check at the financials here. It does look like this is a balance sheet. They do have cash here, still losing. Okay, so we're not quite losing $1 billion a quarter. We're losing a little bit less than $1 billion a quarter. So that's pretty good. We'll see how long it's going to take for them to end up going cash flow positive here. But Rivian, this is what's going on. We'll see what type of trading action we can get if we make it above that 500-day moving average. Okay, so you guys are mentioning TNXP here. What's up with TNXP? It's halted. Let me take a look. I actually don't have notes here on my list or anything, so we'll go ahead and do this together. Penny stock here. Let's see. I want to fix these two real quick. Just give me a sec. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's take a look inside here and see what's going on. TNXP looks like it's ramping here today. Trading higher here. Tonix Pharmaceutical shares are trading higher after the company announced FDA acceptance for its TNX 102 SL drug application for fibromyalgia. So that's news as of this morning. Looks like it's got a PR here that's driving this almost 100%, up about 80% here. It says FDA expected to assign a PDUFA target action date and announce whether priority review has been granted in the day. Okay, so looks like we're getting some pretty positive FDA news here. Look, you guys know me. I don't really follow a whole lot of these penny stocks, especially the biotech stocks. I mean, my goodness. Stock here is up 82%, or excuse me, 80% here. So maybe this is our penny stock runner du jour, right? Maybe this is the runner of the day. What's up with TNXP? It's halted for news, but I'm seeing the price now changing on Schwab, but it's stuck on the halt price. Can't sell it. Not sure what's happening. Okay, so I don't have TNXP in my portfolio, so I can't tell you. Looking at my broker here, 99, it looks like it's trading, boss. Definitely moving around. I see prints. I see it above $1 now, or briefly above $1 right there. Yeah, I definitely see prints. I don't think this is halted here. And that's the news. That's what's going on here on TNXP. So this is definitely going to be one of our movers here today. It might even be in dollar territory by the time we get to movers. Looks like 102, your high print here in the pre-market as this thing. Here we go, 105. More highs now on TNXP. The volume here in the pre-market, this is generally speaking, this is what we want to see. This is some nice expanding volume right here. So higher it goes. 110 now, 109. 110 here on TNXP. Also, keep in mind, Sideshow, no volatility halts in the pre-market session or in the after-hour session. So if this was halted earlier, and I'm not disputing it, I just didn't look at it myself. If this was halted earlier, that would have been halted for news pending. And if this is the news, giddy up. This thing is absolutely ripping here. Okay, absolutely ripping. So TNXP definitely going to be one of our movers here. In fact, let me add this to the pre-market gainer list that I have. TNXP. Obviously, that wasn't moving when I first sat down here, and now we got the news and we broke it down live. Pretty awesome. F it, we'll do it live. With saying TNXP rug pull coming. We've seen that a lot on some of these smaller stocks. I think at this point we should really kind of expect that. Good luck if you're trading this. No position here for me on TNXP. All right, no position here on TNXP. All right. 8:31 here. We're going to be going to Red Dog here pretty soon. Let's see, what else do we have here on the list? Are there any other stocks that you folks want me to take a look at? I don't really see the market. I guess the market's trying to bounce here a little bit. Looks like Nvidia's bouncing a little. Let me know if there's another stock you want me to take a look at. I'm still holding the rest of the movers list here because I know 13 and I like to break that down together. We all have, sometimes we have different opinions on some of those stocks as well. So we're going to keep doing that here. But let me know if there's another stock that you folks want to take a look at. Oh, NUKK. That's right. Several of you had mentioned NUKK earlier here. So this another mover. Is this one on the list? No, let me go ahead and add this one too, just so we can keep track of all of these. This is Nukkleus here. What's going on? There's got to be news on this one, right? Got to be news on this one. Nope. No news here, at least nothing fresh here. Let me know if the Twitter streets have uncovered something. I don't see anything here in the news feed. NUKK up 144% here. Oh my goodness. So really good trading action here today. Nice little impulse move, regression back to the mean, and then the big move here on that expanding volume. So all of that looks pretty good from a technical perspective. And this one would definitely be in play here today. Let's see what this company does. Nukkleus, financial technology company that's focused on providing software and technology solutions. The company's operating segment includes general support services and financial services. General support services include providing software technology, customer sales, and marketing and risk management technology, hardware, and software solutions package under the GSA to a related party. It seems like a lot of fluff here. Financial services technology company. Payment services for fiat and digital assets, generates maximum revenue from the general support service segment. Geographically, the majority of the revenue is generated in the United States and the United Kingdom. Also throw in Malta there. Okay, so I will say that's pretty good. Great that it is not like a Chinese fintech company. We've seen those kind of rug pull and really kind of be crummy. It looks like that's not it here for NUKK Nukkleus. Add this one to your list here. 350 definitely seems to be a key level here. I know we traded above it briefly, but we really didn't close much above that there. 350 definitely looks to be a spot here. I'd also probably add in, 275. That looks to be a spot here. We'll see where we settle on this pullback. Watch that 275 level. And then here, let me go back to my main workspace and bring this up. By the way, TNXP is still popping here, 133, 134. So we're going to have some runners here today on some of these small stocks. That is for sure. Let's see here. I've got the VWAP at 276. Look at that. Gosh, I love it when a plan comes together. I love it when those things line up there. 275 definitely looks to be some support there on NUKK. NUKK. Okay. NUKK or Rigetti. We are going to cover Rigetti. That's actually on the movers list with the rest of the quantum theme. Sound, that's also on that list. I believe anyway, that printed 20 if I'm not mistaken yesterday, so we might as well take a look at Sound. QUBT also on that list. Good morning, Sally. This is a blast from the past. Nice to see you again. Sunshine Sally is what I'm going to try to say. That alliteration is tough for me. Good morning. Good to have you here. Riot is moving. Bitcoin is likely going to be in play. Bitcoin at the highs here looks like almost tried to print or did print 108K on the Bitcoin futures chart there. That's going to be in play all day here today, and that's going to be a host of those names: Bitcoin, Mara, Riot, Microstrategy, HUT, BTBT, BTDR, that BitDeer, that one that Robert really likes. All of those going to be huge here. So, okay. Those are likely to move here. Let's take a look. Progressive, you were asking about AEHR. Let's take a look at that here real quick. This is one from yesterday, right? How did this end up finishing up? Oh, what's going on with my search bar here? There we go. AEHR test systems. All right. So we did end up finishing higher here. Look, that trend line that we added in the morning, this thing just grinded higher the rest of the day here. So you know what? For any of you that had this trade yesterday, that's a one up. Hopefully end up making some money on this. The little dip right out of the open there, that was the buy spot. Finished higher all day. By the way, TNXP, oh my God, 164 here in the pre-market. Sorry to switch back and forth here, but we've got we normally don't see this type of wild action until the market actually opens. Getting it here in the pre-market. Bonus trading action for you pre-market traders here today on TNXP. I guess, we should probably start coming up with levels for this, no? I think we probably have to. Oh my gosh, this thing is really kind of great, man. It's been a long time since this thing has really kind of broken out. Let's see what we got here. Okay, first level here, gap fill at $2. At this point, given what we've seen here, it's only 13 cents away. I think that probably happens fast. 194 your high. We're only 6 cents away now. Looks like that move to 2 is happening here. Sideshow saying, Ryan, I got TNXP yesterday at 45 cents. Nice job. Thanks to Carmen. Well, guess what? Nice job. Be sure to get Carmen a drink when she shows up here today or something. Maybe a hemp scarf or something, because that was a pretty monster move here. 194 still that high print. It is trying to go higher here, pulling back off that spot a little bit. TNXP, watch for a 2 move there. Woo. Wes, you were mentioning this was heavily shorted. I don't have a whole lot of short interest here. And this update is fairly recent. This is only a week stale. Just under 1% of the float shorted, less than a day to cover. But boy, oh boy, you're sure seeing a rip here in the move, or excuse me, a rip here in the morning. And again, this is what's going on here. FDA acceptance of one of its drugs for fibromyalgia. That's the news here this morning. That's really kind of driving this thing to the highs. Still wouldn't hold it open. Well, I'll say this, Wes, if for you guys that are trading this right now, I mean, this move is so big. I'd have definitely been paying yourself into this. Unless you had some long-term investment thesis on this, what a huge move here. Definitely pay yourself on the way up. Really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff there. Yeah, conditionally accepted. It's definitely less than 1. Our calendar just displays 1. You can't... It only displays 1 as a lower value because it's 1 day. If it's less than a day, you can cover up all those short shares in a day. By the way, big shout out to T, especially in the morning. It's really, really good stuff. Okay. It did not get FDA approval. After the company announced FDA acceptance. Did I say approval? I'm sorry, was really good spot checking me there. FDA acceptance for one of its drug applications for fibromyalgia. So I misspoke there. Appreciate you. We're going to always try and be 2% better every day here. So if I make a mistake, kindly correct it just like that. We want to be as accurate as possible. TNXP, really, really moving here. NUKK, looks like you guys are all over some of the morning movers here. NUKK, by the way, this did pull back to the VWAP, has done a really good job holding that 275 spot that we have. So watch NUKK here. No position for me, but we just talked about this as this was rolling back over. We talked about this being a potential spot. Here we are. Let's see if we end up getting that. All right, let's see. Am I missing something here? Okay. See what they're doing there. Okay. Sorry about the delay. Okay, what else do you folks want to take a look at here? You guys are basically just listing the movers off the movers list. Like, you don't want to wait for 13. You just want to, let's do it right now. F it, we'll do it live. We'll do it right now. Start breaking them down right now. We'll change this up as people join, but let's go ahead and start. Some of you were mentioning ONDS continuation. You know I like that. I'm still waiting for higher here. This was a longer term trade for me, and boy, oh boy, I held bags for a long time, so I am not going to be itchy on the trigger on the way back up here. I like ONDS for higher. I actually really like the action here this morning as well. Some continuation from yesterday's news. We're trading back here, but we're really not breaking down. Watch for this to cross the VWAP. Again, this is going to be not a scalp trade back and forth. I'll look for some other stocks to actually trade back and forth. This one I'm still holding. Okay, TNXP, no surprise. This is at the top of the movers list now. This is actually starting to retrace, which is great. 115 your VWAP there. Wait and see if that gets to 120, 115-ish area and holds there. Next is going to be PRTG. This is we've actually traded recently. This is one that we've actually traded recently here. This popped in the pre-market here today and has actually taken another leg up here. Portage Biotech shares are trading higher after the company announced that it entered a letter of intent with Immunova for potential acquisitions. So that reads pretty well here. Portage up 182% here. Stock was about $3 yesterday. This printed above 10 earlier today. Double digits here. Actually printed above 11, it looks like, at the highs there. So PRTG really moving here. This one, a micro float. Under 1 million shares in the float on this one, 778,000. With the good news here, that's really not a surprise. Let's take a look at the short interest. It's there, but it's fairly negligible, only 1.2% here, and less than a data cover here on Portage. So this one also going to be in play here today. Let's see what happens when it comes into that VWAP at 880, only 29 cents away from that VWAP. Last time that we consolidated around that VWAP, we took another leg up. Does that happen again? We shall see. You know what we'll do in the meantime? We'll go ahead and get a second opinion. We'll go ahead and bring him on, the one and only 13. 13, how are you doing here today?
I'm doing all right. It sounded like I was just listening to y'all while I was going through some of these movers, and it sounded like you guys just couldn't wait. You couldn't wait. So I said, all right, you know what? I'm just going to come on. We'll talk these movers, and we'll get down to brass tacks about why some of these are moving. It seems like you already covered a couple of them. The PRTG, that was one of the first ones I looked at.
Sam?
Also looked at TNXP that you guys were just talking about, and then OPTX. I also saw that NUKK was moving as well. We can, kind of live examine that one, if you will. But this is going over those other three. So if we want to break those down, we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things here. So first of all, NUKK, this really started to move while we were on the show here and on no news. So I still don't have news here. I didn't see anyone pull any news from any any other source. So I'm not sure that we really have news that's driving this. Might just kind of be trading action. But the TNXP, this actually happened live while we were on here. So really quickly, just again, Tonics Pharmaceutical shares are trading higher after the company announced FDA acceptance for one of its drug applications for fibromyalgia. So I think I misspoke earlier, but it is acceptance for drug application.
Right, because the approval can be anywhere from like 6 to 12 months away. So this is for an NDA, which is a new drug application. That's they accepted the application, so they're going to do their job. But whether or not they approve it, that's still up in the air. So this could end up being a buy the rumor, sell the news sort of outfit. But that approval might be coming much later on. So I don't know if you'd want to hold this for that long. I certainly wouldn't. But at the very least, we can at least look forward to something that could move TNXP again. We just might need to keep our ear to the ground or follow the news to see if we can get hints about when that might happen. There's also a way to follow when the FDA is going to make announcements, but that's a whole different ballgame. As far as the float goes with TNXP, it has 186 million shares, so it's a little bit heavier than we usually trade here as far as movers go. Has about 2 quarters cash. Still anticipate that they're going to maybe need to raise some. They did a 1-for-32 reverse split on June 10th. So that still results in a pretty large share structure. So they have raised cash since then, it seems.
Okay. Real good stuff there. 13, we actually have Red Dog here as a guest here today, and we're a little bit late on the schedule, so I'm going to go to that real fast. Then we're going to come back here and finish breaking down the rest of those movers there. So, folks, let's go ahead and give a warm welcome for our special guest, Scott Redler. Good morning, Scott. How you doing, Red Dog?
I'm doing great. Listen, sorry, I'm a little late. Had a lot of things going on here. A few technical difficulties on the computer, but better late than never.
Better late than never, absolutely. And you know what? That's fine. I see your technical difficulties, and I raise you our own. We had that happen a couple of weeks ago with Christian, and he was a gentleman, so no problem at all. Scott, look, I want to start here with one question that was kind of generated from our after hours happy hour session. You've done such a great job with us recently, kind of going over your morning routine.
You had a happy hour without me? When did you do that?
Well, we have a happy hour every day, and I will say here publicly, you are invited to any one of those that you wish to come to. So no doubt. And we do enjoy some whiskey during that happy hour in some cases. But in any case, we actually had a member recently kind of ask about the entire prop trading scene. One of the things that she was saying is that she had some took a loss that maybe she didn't want to, and she really kind of wants to refine some of her risk rules in a prop trading environment. And our group here spoke very highly of you and T3. So I just kind of wanted to ask you here, and it's okay if you don't have the stats. I know I'm kind of ambushing you with this question here. Can you share any stats for your best traders in your group, and how long does it take to maybe pass like the challenge phase?
To be honest, I don't have like stats.
No problem. Anecdotal.
All I would say is that it takes time to be consistent. And when you put on a trade, just figure out, where the trade changes and if you're wrong, and then honor it by putting a stop there. The more you honor your stops, the more, you listen to your inner voice when, the trade doesn't do what you think it's going to do, the less you'll lose. And the less you lose, on your bad trades, the less you have to make up on your good trades. So bottom line is like, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I treat my prop world like a little portfolio manager. I have an active account that I day trade. I have a swing account that I try and stay with moves with a tier system. I have option account that I want to use for binary events. I have a box that makes my my winners bigger, my losers more. And, I have that brain capacity to deal with it. But if you have only been trading, not only because you got to start somewhere, right? If you've been trading for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, 12 months, you figure out, and be realistic with yourself, what's a good day for you. If $300 is a good day, you shouldn't be losing $600 on a bad day. it's like the 2-to-1 kind of thing. If you want to stat, I would say mostly your good days should be 2-to-1 over your bad days, and your exceptional days should be 4-to-1. And sometimes if you look at all your numbers, if you were to get rid of your 2 worst days, you see what your year's like, and I'm sure it'll seem like it's a lot better. So try and get rid of worst days by following the process with the right stops and the right trades.
Okay, so it really seems like it's kind of the same, right? It's really going to focus on your process. You really have to focus on your risk management, and just doing that in the prop environment is the same. Okay, so that's really, really good stuff. Hopefully she found that helpful. Let's actually talk about some stocks that you're trading here. I do want to start with the SPY. I always do. I can't help it. Let's start here with the SPY. What do you have any type of trade setup going into the FOMC meeting tomorrow? Do you have an open trade here on SPY? What are your thoughts on the broader market here?
On the SPYs, well, right now we're below yesterday's low. So if you want to look at my chart, it looks a little cleaner than your chart, to be honest.
Sure.
Okay. No disrespect.
None at all.
But I'm a simple guy, simple cotton napkin technician. I try and show it straight up. At this point, coming into the Fed, it looked like everything was normal, like a nice little channel, digesting like the 8-day catch up, the 21-day. We've been above it for like multiple weeks, so really strong. So today, if you go here, this is a little bit noisy. The SPYs are down 236. So let me get all this junk out of the way. So the way I'm thinking is, first of all, I'm short a little premium going into today. So that was kind of like my hedge, because I do have a lot of longs on. So right now the SPYs are down 234. So you can see that on my level 2. I have a bunch of level 2s on one screen because I have ADHD and I'm an old school tape reader. So I like to watch the level 2s as I'm trading. So here is 604.38. So right now we're below yesterday's low. We're below 605.21. So you have a whole quadrant here. So you have no idea where the 5 15-minute low is going to be, except for that you have 602.80, which is right here, and you have 602. So sometimes I'm like, can't get too bearish if we hold above here. So the question is, do we make a 5 15-minute low and reclaim 605.21 and keep things intact and make the dip viable very easy? Or do they want to shake things up a little bit ahead of the Fed tomorrow? Because usually the day before the Fed, for some reason, is always a negative sentiment type day, because I feel like it's kind of disrespectful if they go cajones to the wall the day before the Fed and think that they're going to ask for a quarter rate cut, and for them not to be too hawkish. So it's always weird. It's always like you always have like this day before, and then you always forget. I'm like, oh wait, I should have known that. I should have had more of a hedge on. But at this point, I'm going to turn to some of the mega cap tech and see if I could buy a few things, because I do have some positions on. So like I have Tesla on, which is helping. Tesla's been my number one focus. I'm going back on Fox Business today, actually at 3:00 to talk about it, because right on election day, I'm like, word is that Trump's going to win in a landslide. You want to be long Bitcoin, you want to be long Tesla, and get rid of DJT. And that's exactly what happened. And now, you go to Tesla.
I was going to say, that's my next question anyway. So let's just do it. Let's go to Tesla. Let's run it.
All right. So if you look at Tesla, it's been absolutely fantastic. So many different ways. First was your huge beeline to 358. Then I had to consolidate. This was the last real money setup, I thought, where you were digesting above 348, and then you were able to add above 362. And then since then, it's been above the 8-day, which is a huge, strong trend. And now you're up here, and look where the 8th is. If you're not in Tesla, today is not your day to buy it. I'm trimming some. I actually am trying to be cute. I sold some 5-10 calls for Friday to collect some premium, and I don't mind being short there if that's the case. It was my first time doing that yesterday. But anyway, Tesla's been unbelievable. At this point, there's no clear setup. You go to the weekly chart, and a week ago, I'm like, hey guys, if we get above 378, this 384 to 414 is going to be a magnet, and we're already through that magnet. So it got above here. This was your void, and it seems like every time we come up with a target, the target's getting reached faster. That's how much demand there is. But we are extended, and typically you can't just enter something because you feel like you missed it. Chances are over time, like the other individual said about losses and consistency, this you just can't enter it today. Doesn't mean you need to short it. So for me, I am trimming into this move. I might even be flat the stock for the first time pretty much since pre-election, but I might even just take a little because I want to stay engaged. Sometimes if you hold a little bit and you're going to lose in the little bit you hold, it at least keeps you engaged in the name, so you're watching it. And I've been very engaged with this name. It's been very, very awesome for the Alpha team right here. Like you could see, the Alpha team gets to see all my trades live. They can see that this is what I'm coming in with today, even with the Fed tomorrow. And it shows like how I sold some Tesla. So it shows I trimmed a little bit this morning into strength. Like I said before, I'm short some calls for the 5/10s. So it could be a covered call strategy where I took in 2 3/4. I might even short a higher strike today. So I'm managing this position as best as I can, trying to take as much money out. But it's very easy to lose your cool, when you think about how many shares you had a few weeks ago and how much everyone says they're making, which they're probably not, because everyone's so rich on Instagram and Twitter that nobody needs to trade anymore. So, but now's the time where it's like, all right, the meat and potatoes are out of this move. Now the question is, we need some price discovery. Will we get a short-term top today, or will we get another day like today where it's probably developing into a little pain trade where those who got out earlier are in pain because like, oh, I could have made so much more, and those who started shorting a little earlier, are like, wow, what do I do next?
I've done it before. Can I get my shares back, please? Folks, real quickly here, download Scott's free ebook to see his #1 spot to buy and get his free indicator that alerts you. Link is in the chat, QR code on the screen. Love what you said there about Tesla. It reminds me of an old adage. You should be, when you're crying, you should be buying, and when you're yelling, you should be selling. Not a day to buy here today. You should be trimming that position. Really good stuff there, Scott. I got another question about another stock that I'm pretty sure you're still working. Can you tell me a little bit about Celsius, ticker CELH? Here, one of the things that our group, again in the happy hour, those drinking traders that we've talked about, mentioned that this seemed like a really good tax loss buy as it really got smoked here this year. What do you think, CELH?
It was a former leader that technically broke. And now everyone's looking for a reason that if they get out of the way, it could be a good opportunity, which I do think it is. I started buying options on it for January 17th. So if you look at the chart here, all right, first of all, it's a lot to learn, but you look back at the chart, like how blaring is this thing? double top, red dog reversal, sell, pushes through, fails, loses the 8 day right there. This, for any trader that like got caught in this thing, you got to look back and say, this is the spot that you should have been at. If you didn't do the red dog reversal sell right here, broke the upper level, broke the 8 day. And when you're below the 8 day, you do not sit in something as a swing trade. So now fast forward, that was May 28th, double top. Like, it's funny. You look back at patterns, like, how come I didn't see that? So you want to see that and you want to learn from that. So now fast forward to here. Okay. It's still not acting great. Last time people were talking about it was October and it failed. Now, maybe since we're November 17th and perhaps you took some losses already. Maybe you don't want to, it's washed out. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe this is washed out. I'm not sure. So that's why I'm buying options. I bought the $35 calls and the $40 calls because I think if we do get some kind of January effect where people are like, hey, well, I sold this thing at 90, I could play from 30 to 45. It's like a trash for treasures trade. So someone else's trash, if they broke all their rules, could be someone else's treasure for the January effect. So I did buy some calls. And I'm going to try it. So this is a few of my other January effect names that I put in here. I have BlackBerry that worked, working. Lucid Opens another one. Tilray's another one. Oxy and Val. So these are all my January effect trades where I'm like, these are all broken names that I didn't get caught in, that maybe people are done selling into the end of the year and there'll be some bottom feeders coming in because, there's no more tax loss selling and it's an opportunity for those who approach it fresh.
Okay, so the other question I was going to ask you is about stocks that you're preparing for 2025. Looks like you already have some there. Any others you want to throw on that list? Let me ask you again. Are there any drone stocks you like? Because that's what we've been seeing. Hopefully you're doing okay there on the East Coast with those things off New Jersey.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. I saw a few in my backyard too, and it's like, that's a little weird. I'm trying not to over focus on it. It's like people are getting so caught up. These drones are not going to like change your life. It's not like someone coming down from space. But there was some names like different. Like I bought this UMAC, the other day. Someone pointed out from my virtual trading floor, I think this is a drone stock. I saw it day one was part of my process, and I got paid pretty well in it yesterday. Now see if that's 1160 holds. This Archer, I think, is supposed to be another drone stock that had a big move, came into the 21 day. So if you hold the 8 and 21 day, it's usually buyable. So I'm long a little bit of that. So I'm in some of these. These aren't January effect names. These are just like the flavor of the week because it's in
theme.
vogue and you want to make sure you're in them. Don't get irresponsible and take trades and stay with them and don't short them just because you think it's going to be a fad sector and then go away, which they usually do, but do it when it tells you. So there's some action here in these drone stocks. There's other ones too. Again, like people sometimes like Red Dog, how does your go-to list stock or sector change, or stocks in that go-to list change? Names like this come about. Like this ASTS is supposed to be some kind of space-ish type, trade, but look, it hasn't done anything in so long. It's got a nice channel here. Maybe you go out and you buy some $30 calls for January, February. That looks decent in this sector. I also I bought this yesterday, this Lunar. Okay, you know why?
Another
Because
space stock.
yeah, so I'm in a bunch of these, and I'm in Tesla, and I'm bought a little bit of a dip in Apple, and I'm trading Amazon options. So again, 30 plus years, I could be in a portfolio management type approach when the market's working. And then if all of a sudden we break the 821 day in the S&P and things start to falter, I'll reduce a lot of my risk, and then I'll just day trade more.
Okay, real awesome stuff there. Yeah, that Archer, that's one that we've been watching too. That's in that eVTOL space that has some Cathie Wood exposure to it. So some other stuff going on there with ticker ACHR. All right, Scott, awesome stuff here today. Again, folks, download Scott's free ebook. See his #1 spot to buy. Get his free indicator. The QR code is on the screen. The link is in the chat. Scott, you got any closing words for us here this week ahead of the Fed?
Just tomorrow is always Fed days, kind of our sugar honey iced tea for me. It's very erratic. They try and fool you. They try and stop you out this way. They try and fade you out that way. Just know what you're committed to and know what you can handle. It's December 17th. I know for me, I hit my high water mark yesterday, the highs of the year. I think a lot of guys have done that. You want to tax someone. You don't want to put yourself in jeopardy, when you're looking to get a check. I trade for a living also. I just do it quarterly, not monthly like most people. And the Fed, they kind of, when you're going and when the S&P's up 28 and 29% going into the Fed asking for a quarter rate cut and trying to have a neutral to dovish, which will probably be hawkish tomorrow, you just want to be careful. Don't put yourself in a position to get a leg sweep, right? We hate leg sweeps.
You got that right. Really, really good advice here. Scott, if I don't see you, Merry Christmas to you and your family and happy holidays. Thanks for everything. Take care, my man.
You too, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
That is Scott Redler. He impresses every time he comes on. Really, really good stuff. Again, folks, if you want to trade with Scott, you want to benefit from the same stocks that he's trading, download his free ebook and his #1 spot to buy. Go ahead and click that QR code. Let me throw that link in the chat one more time so it's easy for you. The T3 guys are absolutely awesome. We feel great having them on here. Okay, real good stuff. Let's go ahead and get back to 13. 13, I'm sorry about that, but I super appreciate you being flexible here. Red Dog is the man. Really good stuff.
Oh, yeah, I liked listening to what he had to say, especially about some of the things with SPY and some of the other stocks we've been trading. He's seeing a lot. I mean, I'm I'm seeing things that he's seeing. He's got more experience than me. I'm going to just, take a step back and say that.
But you know what? It sounds like he also likes happy hours. Maybe we can get him on board. The drink and stock talk chat that we have. Those are fun.
I'm kind of curious what he would have thought, if he had joined the happy hour maybe a month or two ago, and we were talking about these different space, quantum, and drone plays pretty early before they started moving. I would have loved to hear his take on it at that time, but. We'll see what we can get going into 2025. There'll probably be some really incredible idea generation when we get him in the group.
We will stay nimble and stay on top of it. Okay, in the meantime, let's take a look here. We've got 28 minutes until we open. Should be awesome. We should have plenty of time to get through the rest of the stuff that we need to get through here. Let's get back to the movers list really quickly. Just to check.
UKK was just spiking. Sorry to interrupt you, but that was just spiking a second ago.
All good. This is actually what I wanted to check. So TNXP down to that VWAP 120 here. NUKK, as you mentioned here, spiking. Looks like that is pushing up off of the VWAP. Looks like 350 kind of stopped it here. So both of these two still in play here today. Okay. Was there another one that you want to, is there another stock that you want to take a look at?
So did you already go over PRTG?
So no, we didn't. Actually, I think I did. Yeah, I think I was talking about this one a little bit when you showed up. Let me just turn it over to you here real quick. Portage Biotech shares are trading higher after the company announced it entered a letter of intent with Immunova for potential acquisitions. So a letter of intent news here is causing this stock to be up 175%. We have taken two legs up here in the pre-market. What do you make of this one?
I think that was just the push that it needed in order to get this going, because when you look at a daily chart, you see that it had low RSI. So we are kind of coming off of that low RSI in a reversal. They do have 778,000 shares in the float, so that small float very, very easy to push around. And also, this is a NASDAQ compliance play. Not too long ago, I think it was just last week, they received a letter that they are not within compliance. So that's going to set them up to be, a recompliance play here. Already got low float. The cash situation isn't looking great. It seems they have about a quarter of cash on hand. So I would anticipate that at some point they're going to do a cash raise. They've already, in order to also regain NASDAQ compliance. So this is one that could move really, really well, but also has that risk of an imminent fundraise. So looking at this right now, it's currently trying to hold VWAP. Pattern that I'm seeing in the pre-market here doesn't look the greatest. So we need to see it move off of VWAP probably right about now, because if it doesn't move away from VWAP going into the open, I think we're going to come down and likely test around the 650 area.
Okay, real good stuff here. 650. I could also see 7 if this comes back in. Just as you finished up there, it started to curl and push away from that VWAP. That VWAP.
Was listening.
It was listening very clearly. That VWAP is level here. Some other small levels to take a look at on the way up here, maybe 960. We'll see how much. And then obviously 10. Those round numbers always seem to
and you
be
like
some
trends,
important
right?
levels there. So say again.
And you like trends, right? Because it's trying to break one.
That I think what you're talking about is this one right in here. You love to see trends either obeyed or fall. That should help us do those trades. Okay, real good stuff here. So that is PRTG, TNXP, OPTX. This is one we have not yet covered. You said you did cover this here. Yep. Mike Ransford joins Syntech Optics, which is OPTX, as a site manager here. I'm not familiar with the chap, but obviously the market liked that. This traded up yesterday in the after hours, had a big spike here in the pre-market above $6. We've pared back some of those gains. So far, we're holding 413. What do you make of OPTX?
When I was looking into this, it sounded like this could end up being something I add to the space watch list. They are involved with laser optics as it relates to satellite communication. So that's really well within the theme, especially when a lot of these stocks that I'm putting into this list here have mostly to do with satellites. So this could end up being, I need to do a little bit more research to make sure it's going to make the cut, but seeing as how they're getting 2.1 million in orders, that's, a positive step in the direction. Their financials aren't bad either. Could still raise cash, but they're not, they're teetering between, profitable and losing a little bit every quarter, but they're not, losing millions and millions like some of these other junkier names are. Company does have just under 6 million shares in the float, so still within that sweet spot that we like to trade with. This one, I don't know how it's going to trade today, but it's on my radar. It's in that space theme as far as I can tell. The financials don't look bad. I think this may provide some trades for us today, but I'm just with a little bit of caution. They could still raise cash, and as the space theme gets super extended. If a lot of those stocks that have run start to cool, this could cool with it. So just some of those risks there with OPTX, but could also provide some really good trades.
Okay. Chewbacca alerts us we need to give out some flowers here today. Carmen, good morning. Thanks for joining us here today. I got to say, and I'm just going to put the other people on blast here. There are a number of people that owe you a thank you. In fact, some of them have already given you a thank you earlier this morning when you were not here on your call from TNXP. So we had a monster move here in one of those penny stocks that you've been waiting. You've been doing a great job really kind of scouting some of these out recently. I think there was a chat member in here that mentioned he bought this at 45 cents because of you. And he was pounding the table as this thing was pushing up through that 180 handle. So, Carmen, the first register ring and the first one up, of the day goes to you. Chewbacca approves of your performance. Really, really good stuff here for the group. Folks, when we talked about creating a trading show here, obviously we pay the bills by talking about the products that we use here and all of that and bringing on guests. But the main goal of what we were trying to do here is put together a community where traders can help other traders. And every time I see this take place in my show, I smile from, and excuse me, 13, in our show, I smile from ear to ear here. So really, really good stuff. Can't thank you enough. Let's keep it coming and let's keep spinning that work forward for the rest of the group here. Okay. TNXP, there you go. We've covered the first 4 here on the list. The next one that I have here is going to be ticker KWE. Be honest, at first I thought this was an ETF, but it is not an ETF here. KWE, no news. It's a next generation tactical system company. Stocks up 71%. You can see we've actually backed off the 160 highs that we were on earlier here. We take a quick look around the horn. 7% of the float shorted here as of the last update, which is a week stale at this point. Really not even all that stale. Under 1 day to cover here. 2.37 million shares in the float. Let me check the financials here real quick. They have a little bit of cash and they burn a little bit of cash per quarter. So at some point, they're going to need to figure something out. 13, I know I just kind of ran through a whole bunch of stuff there. Do you have anything here on ticker KWE? I know that this was not one of the stocks that you mentioned you covered, but we are seeing some movement here today.
So no news. What does the chart tell us about the price action in the past day or so? Did we get a lot of volume yesterday? I have to zoom in here because
no, not really. We get the volume that came yesterday came in the after hours, right? It came pretty much as soon as we closed here, and I don't see anything.
I still think that kind of qualifies. I mean, you look at the volume over the past, let's say the past 6 months. You have a big spike in June. You have a little bit of a spike in October, and then you have today, or I'm sorry, yesterday. So what did it do the last times we had those volume spikes? Well, in October we had that day, and then it came back in the next day. But we also got a spike the following day after that. That's one thing we could watch for. In June, we had that spike, and then it kind of went sideways, but still gave some pretty good trades. And it looks like that 200-day SMA suppressed that June movements as well. So something that we could draw on from those last 2 big volume days is that it tends to fizzle out with this stock. So today's we're going to see some movement up towards the 200-day SMA. That might be the only trade that there is here because tomorrow it's likely not going to trade as well.
Okay. Really good. I'll tell you what, 13, that was a really, really good breakdown considering the lack of information that we seem to have on this stock. Really good stuff there, using the chart to tell us what we're going to do next here. Okay. Really good stuff there. Really quick. I almost wanted to call you Jamiroquai, but that can't possibly be right. That just shows that I was listening to music in the 90s. Any word on Google? The word on Google is that this thing was a banger. All right, for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think what you're asking here is I'm all out of this. And just FYI, I'm all out of this 194s. So this thing is actually 4+ points higher than where I sold it here. This was an awesome trade that we took live here, ended up holding it overnight instead of turning it into a day trade and tripled up the gains on it. Now, what does it look like here going forward? I think we got another breakthrough 200 coming. So if you recall, the big impetus, or if you will, or the big catalyst for this move was going to be the Willow chip, the quantum computing chip that Google talked about last week. We continue to push up here at 13. I know you said you had a 200 target on Google. Seemed like it came faster than you were anticipating here. I wouldn't be shocked if this actually punches its way through 200 and gives us some levels higher here. So that's the word. As far as the trade goes here that we were live trading together, that trade is booked for a gain, boss. That is in the past. So we'll be looking for another setup here. You can also see, by the way, that there's still demand for this stock. We had that big push up. Stock sold off for 2 days. Buyers said, we ain't going back. Stepped right back in here. Bought this up to new highs. Google still showing some strength here. That is the word, my man. That is the word. Okay. Good morning, Jay Rice. Great to see you.
Real quick on Google.
Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind is that, once we get to 200 and likely, like you said, break through that, that might be a signal to either trim or start selling into for a short period of time, just because it will be very extended at that point. RSI is already over 71. I'm not saying that this is, a bad time to buy it or anything, but if, depending on what your trading, patterns are for this is something that I wouldn't necessarily want to try to swing right now. But if I was going to go long, I think you're probably going to be just fine going along. But wait for some better entries, because this is really, really extended. I expect that as soon as we break through 200, we might run, and then it could come right back in as people take profit. But it is extended. I do like this longer term. It's going to be much, much better in the future. But this is a very, very quick move in a short period of time. Let it cool off.
Okay. Real good stuff here. Lion, by the way, he says, forget your cooling off process. 220 target by mid-January on Google. We'll see if we get there. Lion, I love when people stick their neck out and give you an actual actionable target.
And he's probably right, too. He's probably right. It probably does
you're right. I'm not going to fight him on that either.
It probably does go to 220 until mid-January, when all these other earnings start coming out, and investors get a little worried about seeing these margins shrink. I think at least that's what I'm anticipating, but we're still a little ways away from that. It could run beyond 200 to 220 before it comes back in. But just keep in mind that the RSI is quite extended. We could get that coming in, a little bit sooner rather than later, but I mostly agree that we could see a punch through and extend before it comes back in.
Okay, really good stuff there. Good call. We're going to get to SMCI, folks. I know you guys can barely contain yourselves. We're doing that next here, but I'm going to mention this because the other thing that will get you comments and props in this channel, in addition to helping everyone with stock calls and then just generally being nice and not being a jerk, the other thing that's really going to get you shout outs here is boots on the ground research. That's for sure. There is no try. FYI, I'm going to Covington, Georgia on Thursday to visit the new Archer plant. I will send you guys a link to the video. I'll tell you this, there is no try. You send me a video that you shoot in your own research process and we will play it here on stream, especially if it's about a stock that seems to be hot and seems to be in the everyday trading flow here. So good on you for doing that. Make sure you have my email address. Send me that baby and we will go ahead and throw that here on stream. My email is in the chat there. Make sure you get that done. That's really good stuff.
What I like about this is that I'm just waiting for the announcement that the plant's gonna, the opening date for the plant to start producing the Archer aircraft. That should be coming soon. They are planning to start production in early 2025. They have not given a specific date yet. So I'm thinking that could be a catalyst for Archer, that they announce that specific date. So one of the things that I'd be interested from when you go and visit there is see how full the parking lots are. I want to get an idea of what kind of activity we're looking at, because if the parking lots are full, that could be a clue that production start is imminent, like maybe the first or second week of January. So I'd be interested to see just how much activity is happening there right now, because I think that could give us clues as to when we might get that announcement of the start production date.
Really, really good stuff. That was a tip shared by one of our former analyst participants in the happy hour, was it not? 13?
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Check parking lots to see how busy the business
check
is.
Parking lots then.
Check if you're in like a food store, check expiry dates to see how old the product is that they're trying to get rid of and how often they can cycle through the product. Those are some tips that people that cover stocks for a living end up giving us. 13. That is an awesome shout out there, my man. Awesome stuff. Okay. There is no try was saying, I'm going to be there, so why not? Bingo. Exactly. That is exactly it. Okay, SMCI here. Boy, who sneezed, right? SMCI looks like this was going, this is pretty wild here. Remember, we were actually trading up. Looks like we sold off and popped right back here. The news that broke just as we were talking here, SMCI Space secures $14 million in a private placement through sale of its common shares and warrants at $207 per unit. to accredited and institutional investors. This is not an open market private placement here. XIII sold off on that news all the way down to 4, bounced right back here. We're basically right where we started, and we reclaimed the VWAP in this move here. So that's what's going on here with XIII. Looks like this is going to be in play all day. You got any thoughts on that? Just happened while we're live here.
Didn't we discuss about how this company's financials weren't the greatest? I'm pretty sure we did.
Yes, we did.
But also, we're also getting additional movement because this is also an RVol play, a relative volume play, because we had some pretty good volume yesterday.
Yes, we did.
And now you have a catalyst coupled with that relative volume. We could end up, moving around some more. I don't know what we're direction or movement we're going to get entirely here, because it's already very extended on the daily chart. So this is another one to be very, very careful with. But it's going to get, I think it's going to get some attention out of the open. And then there's a possibility it might just come right down. Maybe it comes back later on in the day, but I would expect there to be some, if any pops, they might get sold into. So just keep that in mind with this one, because it's very extended.
Okay, now the good news here that I see here on XIII, awesome that we were able to get bought back up there. Shows that there's still some demand. I'd be very curious to see what the opening print looks like here today, though. We'll see. We'll see which direction this goes. I think a move back through that VWAP there at 521. If we do that on buying volume, we probably go higher. I'd look for the top end of this range, maybe 5 3/4, 575 to 6. If we are able to hold that there. So,
okay. For funsies, if you want, you can even draw a trend line from the high from yesterday through the pre-market highs. There's
why not? I mean, funsies, funsies, onesies, and everything in between. Here you go.
So that would be a trend line to watch for. If we get a big move up to that trend line, and it hits it, you might see some selling at that trend line. I don't know if it's going to break through or not. It might, but I would expect there to see to at least be some selling if the price gets up to that trend line.
Okay, really good stuff. 10 minutes till we open, folks. Let's check back in on some of these other movers that we were taking a look at. TNXP looks like this came all the way back into the VWAP, held and bounced there. That's kind of what we wanted to see after a bigger move. Let's keep running down the list here. I had mentioned earlier.
Well, it was just I saw some questions from you earlier in the chat. One was about BBAI. I was getting asked.
Sure, we can do that.
If the daily chart looked like a really big cup and handle. I took a look at that, and I could see why it would look like a cup and hand. Okay, so that looks a little bit different than what I was seeing here. Maybe because you don't have a lot of the previous history. Are you able to look at a longer time frame?
Well, here, I mean, I can give you a bigger chart if that's what you want to do. That was still the daily time frame. Let me go. Here's BBAI. What time frame you want?
Okay, there we go. That's much better. You back that up. See, that would be more of what I'm looking at. So I think what he was asking about here is this: the highs from March this year to December this year, and then we had this pullback to the 20-day SMA where we got support. Now it's ripping. Usually when you see cup and handles, they don't pull back this far. So I don't necessarily know if that's what we're seeing here. It still looks like it, as long as it holds at 20, it could retrace that movement. And we also have a little bit of a golden cross that has happened here with this early December here. It's actually at the turn of the month. So there's a couple of technical indicators that would suggest that this might have a shot at going higher. But as for the pattern itself, I don't necessarily know that I would call it. You might be able to. It's just the handle is really, really low. So it's kind of unusual. But at least you have some pretty good price action here to give you some levels. One that stands out in particular is 450. I mean, if you look back all the way to 2022, that was where support was. And then ever since we fell through in June of 22, that has been a level that has had a hard time with getting above and staying above. February 2023 had more success, but since then it's been getting worse and worse. So 450 would be a big breakout level if this stock for BBAI if it gets back up. That's something to watch for.
Okay, real good stuff there. Did you have another question that you wanted to answer here before I move on?
I may have seen one, but I'm sorry, I missed it. But
that's okay.
Ask more questions, folks.
I was going to say, if it's important, that person will re-ask it, and we will cover it then. I will cover this, folks. I have definitely been trying to make an effort to cover some of the setups that we talk about ahead of the setups actually resolving here, and Jay Rice is absolutely helping us. So giving us 4 big recent movers here. We're going to take a look at all 4 of them real quick here. Broadcom, we started by talking about this earlier. We talked about how Broadcom over the last 2 sessions has seen its strongest 2-day rally since its IPO. So let's just be careful here. Jay here mentioning 4 names to keep an eye on for tops and rollovers. So again, thesis here, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're looking for these to really kind of pull back once they've become exhausted to the upside and start to roll over. Avago, the first one on the list, or Broadcom, the first one on the list here. What I will say is let's not jump in front of these momentum trains to the upside. Like Jay is saying here, keep an eye on it. That doesn't mean go full bore short right here. Keep an eye on it. If you can time that rollover, you might have some more juice to the downside if this really pulls back. Be sure to close your Anne-Marie banger options trade first, though, on the way up, because we've been trading this one to the long side. Next one here is going to be Reddit, ticker RDDT. Same deal here, but we might be a little bit closer to that rollover spot. This hasn't really made a whole lot of sense since it IPO'd, at least not to me. Maybe you folks have a different view on it. We are approaching what looks like a double top here at 180. Watch that 180 level. If it rejects this price again, last time it rejected here at 180, this thing in 2 sessions pulled back to 152. Watch for that again here. If it can't make it through that 180, got a double top here on the daily. Maybe we can come back in. 13, if you want to go over any of these, you're welcome to do that. I just want to run through the list to make sure we get them all done first. Then you can pick and choose which ones you want to talk about if you want. Tesla would be another one. We had Red Dog talk about Tesla here today. Remember, he said that for the first time since the election, he might be flat. Might be. Did not commit to it. Said might be. And the reason that that's the case is because he is printing on this name. Absolute banger trade for him. He's been very, very clear about that since prior to the election. And this thing is extended here. By the way, remember when we were talking about those Fibonacci extensions instead of retracements? Well, it looked like that was a good idea, as we definitely found some resistance here at about 391. Now we're on our way to the next level. That value, by the way, 520.23. Remember, we got a 515 price target here today on one of those readjustments. Tesla, same deal here as Broadcom. I'm not sure that the top is here today, so keep this one on watch. Don't go full bore into this. And then Palantir is the last one on that list. Palantir and Reddit, very, very similar. Broadcom and Tesla, very, very similar. Maybe Palantir is a little bit exhausted here. We don't quite have the makings of a really clean double top, as this stock has pulled back and down another 350 here today, or excuse me, 3.5%. Easy for me to say, for heaven's sakes. Maybe we roll over here. If we lose this 20-day, I would put that $60 target on here for a continued downside move. We do have the 50-day right beneath it, 56.62. Okay, 13, you got any thoughts on any of these that Jay is setting up for us for potential rollover trades?
Yeah, I would wait for those to cool off, especially AVGO. Absolutely huge moves. And
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why we're seeing such huge moves in AVGO is because this company might be eating Nvidia's lunch.
Ooh.
I think they're seeing rotate. That's why we didn't get such a huge hit in the Qs. I think we're seeing rotation out of Nvidia, possibly into AVGO. I mean, AVGO is really shaping up to be the next big AI chip play, because they are more geared around custom making chips versus general application chips like Nvidia is doing with their whole Blackwell series. So the custom chip angle, I think, is where AVGO might thrive here. And I think that's what why we're seeing such huge movement, 35% in the past 2 days for AVGO.
Yeah, the biggest 2-day rally in its history.
I think AVGO might be the one that folks might want to start picking up once we get some cooling on that, because it's looking like this could be the next big one.
Okay, real good stuff there. Jay, if you have any of these prices or you see things kind of changing around, shout it out. We're going to be watching all of these names here. Nvidia, by the way, which you just mentioned in there, Nvidia intraday, I know this is only a 1-minute chart, so take it with a grain of salt, but intraday double bottom here around 128.75. If we take a look at the daily chart here, we have 128 even as that 100-day moving average. We talked about this probably being a test here today. Sure looks like it's going to do that. It's within 70 cents at this point. So maybe we see some more rotation out of Nvidia into some other names, whether it be Broadcom or otherwise.
And as these head and shoulders resolve, which is what we have here with Nvidia, one thing that happens after it starts to resolve, after the right shoulder is made, it will get to a level. It'll back test the neckline before it goes lower. So with how extended AVGO is, you might see some rotation out of that and back into Nvidia for a short period of time while AVGO cools off. And then they'll go back into Broadcom. That could, really give us a pretty good back test of the neckline on Nvidia. So some things to watch for between those two stocks.
Okay. Real great stuff there. I tell you what, the entire group came out swinging here today. You just absolutely love to see it. We're going to have an awesome Tuesday here. Someone called it a turnaround Tuesday earlier. It frequently gets called a Taco Tuesday. Whatever it is, we're going to have a good one here today. Really, really good stuff. Okay. Also, one more thing I want to shout out. We're about to open here, but real quick, Benzinga recently launched a new product called Benzinga Edge. Super lightweight, gives you stock picks, gives you news, gives you recommendations. That's what the banner at the top is for. If you want to learn more, reach out to our team or hit that QR code above. This is great for those that can't really make sense of Pro or don't have the time to use Pro. You can still make some money by using Benzinga Edge. All right, we're getting ready to open here. Let's take a look. Here's TNXP hovering right at the VWAP.
Look at NUK.
Coming in. Yep.
And we're open.
We are
Didn't hear a bell
open here. Okay, so you did not. So I'm still trying to figure out. I think I've got my routing all figured out here. We'll see where it goes from here. By the way, Saidu. Yep. I was just going to say Saidu right after that private placement. That's actually trying to go higher here on Saidu.
Yeah. So it looks like the resistance it's been running into this morning was at 6. Got as high as 630, but no real body closes above that. So you have these wicks popping up above $6, coming right back in. We also have that trend line to watch for too. So a couple of things that we have to look at here with SIDU. We break out over 6. Still possible we could go higher.
Okay. Awesome stuff there.
PRTG looks like that's getting ready to go as well.
Sure does. I'm actually going to cue this one up in the prop.
We have an 1126 high in the pre-market. So we'll see if that's something we end up getting up to. Looks like there could be resistance around 10 though.
Looks like it just pulled a little bit there. Let's see if it comes back on. I've got 950. Oh, big pull here. Big pull here on PRTG.
Maybe it goes to 8. And
Ooh, this actually. Oh, okay. That stopped there for a sec.
It's halted.
Not yet.
It will. I'm sorry.
Right here, 822. It's going to halt right here on PRTG. Careful with that one.
Here goes SIDU.
Oh, my.
TNXP. There's okay. Now it's all the TNXP sold and then rebounded.
This SIDU, I'm kind of interested to see what happens here at 6 on SIDU. Not feeling great about buying any of those upside breaks, especially after what we just saw on PRTG. So glad I did not get hit there. But watch this $6 level here, SIDU.
What is going on with SPY and the Q?
SPY here is pulled out of the open.
Yeah. Because I just noticed some of these bear ETFs were going up a little bit more. Okay, so what's going on here with SPY?
Looking around here, Netflix at the highs. Looks like Tesla dropped out of the open, is pounding the low there, 468. Apple here flirting with 250. Looks like that's at the low end of the pre-market range on Apple. OPTX, this does look like this is pushing off 4. We're only 30 cents away from its VWAP here at 458 on OPTX.
Saidu right up at 6, trying to push through. This is where it's going to get the most resistance. So we need to see some volume really come in and lift it higher.
There we go. Saidu through 6 now.
I have 680 as the next upside target.
Saidu, that got wild on that move through 6 there. Real good stuff.
630 pre-market high. So there's either going to be a break. Okay, there it is. I just don't even finish talking before it does it.
No, I was just going to say, I was literally watching the 630, and then there's a little bit of size there at that 632. But so Saidu going here. Okay, so I was wondering about that upside break and whether or not it was going to be strong. Sure enough, that did work here. Saidu ripping after that private placement.
Our volume. Okay, so NUKK getting some support from the 65 EMA, trying to turn around and capture VWAP. OPTX was just at VWAP a second ago. This one looks like OPTX. It's got a good amount of consolidation between 450 and basically 550. So there's $1 of space it has to chew through here before it goes higher. And if it does, it looks like it could very well take out that pre-market high of 656. As long as the volume continues. MACD not looking bad either.
I'm just looking at the unusual option chain here. Did see some Google 200 calls aggressively being bought there. Now, Google did push up to 201. Looks like it pared back some of those gains there. Google strong here out of the open, accompanied with some unusual option activity courtesy of Benzinga Pro.
So Saidu must have, well, it definitely should have broken that trend line we drew. 684 is the high from yesterday. We're approaching that pretty quick here.
Yeah, KWE, by the way, it did break that trend line. I'm sorry I don't have it here, but it did break that. KWE here, this actually above its VWAP. This looks like this might be trying to go above 145, 160, going to be another spot there. TNXP, one we talked about here, this dipped again, back to VWAP, but can't cross it and get back over it.
Saidu's going to halt. It is going to halt.
And it couldn't hold it there.
Nope,
Wow.
nope. They bought all that. Somebody picked all that up. Wow. All right, so not halted yet. Still looking at 184. If it breaks through 184, that might put it into a halt.
Is 684, you mean?
I'm sorry, 684. You're right.
Okay.
Okay. Looks like it's starting to go into a halt.
Yeah,
now.
it looks like this. If it holds here, this should halt it. Price here 672.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're halted.
There we go. Halt on Saidu. Okay.
Sorry for the early call.
Nope, it's okay. It happens. So we've got PRTG halted to the downside, SIDU halted to the upside. Real quickly, quick look at some of the other movers. TNXP did just cross that VWAP there. OPTX, this is still on its way back to the VWAP, but hasn't done that yet. ONDS, this is that drone play we've been watching. This did come in a little bit off that pre-market move. See if this can actually move higher here. ONDS. GOEV. Oh, that's just a 15-cent penny stock. That's not the one that EVGO is the one that I would uses the same letters. KWE here, that got rejected at its VWAP. Sorry, 13.
It says Tony was saying I scared him out of Saidu yesterday. Well, I hope I scared you out at the right time and not before had a big move. But being as how this, well, we just saw the cash raise. Those are the kind of things that I'm trying to prepare you for. PRTG open again, not breaking down, getting some support at the moment, but still could go lower. So let's see what happens with this.
So here is your PRTG. Looks like, what did it hold, that 8 there? That would be the spot to watch.
All right, now it looks like it might start to move down. Could get some support around 690 if it loses this $8 level. Ooh, saw something else that I like. All right.
NUKK, that's trying to bounce, but that's also been weak here.
OPTX running into resistance at VWAP.
And then TS at 10. Rich Robotics, RR, this at the highs here on some pretty good volume. We've seen this run with Serve in the past. Serve doing the opposite here, okay.
Do we have news on RR or something?
Let me check. I thought that might just be running with Serve, but let me check here on RR. Nope. Last piece of news I have is from November 7th, and that was a Form S8. So this looks to be just some type of Mo, I suppose.
Yeah, I wonder if there's something it's running with that's moving right now that we're just not seeing.
KWE did push above its VWAP. GOEV, oh, that's that 15. How can I hide one of that's what I really need to do here. And let's check. Here's that PRTG. So that's so far still holding 8 here. It's actually flagging. So what do you think? You think we break lower out of this flag, or you think we bounce back to that VWAP 882 on this?
I would want to see what happens with this current 5-minute candle. I can't really say yet. It looks like it could still break down beneath 8. At which point I would be looking at, maybe 7 or 690, somewhere between 7 and 690 for support at this stage. Just looking around these other ones. NUKK might be trying to recapture its VWAP. Volume not looking great in that one at the moment.
Good morning, Mike. Great to see you here today. Good morning. Raj asking about RCAT. I haven't checked in RCAT since we opened up here. Might as well do that. RCAT resolving lower here. Remember, this is post earnings, so you can kind of let that shake out there. And really quickly, 13, I don't think you were here for that. So just kind of looking at the earnings, I guess I'd want to know from you folks that really kind of follow RCAT on a regular basis, what do you think here? But it sure seemed like from the earnings report that they're doing the smart thing for the business. It sounded to me like one of the reasons they missed on sales was because they're doing more focus on their drone that has the military contract. I think it's called the Black Widow drone versus the other drone that they had, the Teal 2 drone. Looks like they're kind of moving to the better product. As a result, that created a short-term blip in their earnings, but long-term that should be better. That's kind of what I get out of that. Nonetheless, stock's down 18% here today. So
for RCAT, one area of interest for me is 845. That needs to hold. And it looks like it's a bit of a demand zone as well, because you look to the left in the pre-market and regular session of the 13th of December, which was last week. You can see that there was a bit of a consolidation there in the after hours it had 845 as a bit of resistance. Ever since it broke through that resistance in the pre-market the following day, that has been a support level at 845. It's come down there multiple times. We're headed down there again. If we don't bounce at that demand zone, then this probably will end up going much lower. But that's what the level I'd be watching for in RCAT is 845. It seems to be a very important level for the upside to continue with this, but it looks like it could be going lower.
Yeah, see, this is kind of what I was saying here. Thinking about it, they sold the Teal 2 drone at a discount to get rid of them. No one wanted that when they knew that the Black Widow was going to replace it. So Sideshow saying that's exactly right. So, okay, so you guys, doesn't that seem like they're making the right decision long-term for the company? That was my takeaway from that reading there. So, okay. Good stuff there on RCAT. Let's see what else is moving here. PRTG, is this trying to curl? Oh, no, it's still flirting with 8. Well, I'll tell you what, now we're right at 8. Might lose this level here. I'll tell you what, it's trying to bounce, and it's trying to curl here at this $8 level. I think you were right.
Who's going to win?
Yeah, this definitely seems to be the important spot here.
Yeah. A lot of these names that we're looking at, they're just not doing a whole lot. I mean, BBAI, that was a really good hold at 3. That's turning around now.
That is on my relative volume. Ooh, yeah, it is. And that's actually pushing away from the VWAP. Good stuff there, BBAI.
Looks like Cooler was also getting some more upside this morning into the 150s now. Saidu still halted.
That should be opening pretty soon, though. QUBT, This is halted to the upside, folks. Quantum
TNXP,
computing, more of it.
TNXP is halted to the downside. This looks like when it opens, it's going to have a date with the 65 EMA on the 5-minute.
Good call. I missed that 113.
And waiting to see what PRTG wants to do with 8. Looks like it's still turning around. Might be coming back up here.
Yeah.
But now, if it does come back up here, remember it has this consolidation to chew through that was created in the pre-market here from about 880 to 950. So we'll see if we can get through that. And who knows if it does? Maybe it goes on a run back towards 1126, where that pre-market high was.
Yeah, I will say, just kind of looking at the trading action here in the level 2 on this bounce here on PRTG, it looks like when it really starts to trade up, it starts to spread out. So I would be careful about buying the up move. Instead, I would try to wait on some type of support if you're looking to trade this. I actually see a little bit of size here at 880, which is 5 cents above where the current price is. It'll be interesting to see if that falls. What was that other level that you had? 9? What was that?
880 to 950.
Okay.
That's where the consolidation is.
Okay. So there goes 8. Oh my God, there goes 880. Here's 9. There goes 9. Deleted. We're gonna halt here. 912 PRTG if it holds. I'm not making the early call. No. If it holds,
deliver us.
Deliver us.
Deliver us.
Oh gosh. Okay, halted here. PRTG. But we're having fun on a Tuesday. That much I can promise you. So, having some fun here on a Tuesday.
Well, that does its halting business. It's joining a crowd here, apparently, because XIII, PRTG, and TNXP are all halted now. So I guess a lot of the focus is going to be shifting to OPTX and maybe even NUKK. NUKK in the process of recapturing VWAP. MACD giving some early signals that it might be curling here. It still needs to do some work to recapture some levels here, particularly the 275 level. So see what we get out of NUKK here. Looking at OPTX, that's got a VWAP projection. This one might go lower before it goes higher. Be careful with OPTX.
Okay. 13, I'm going to step away for just 1 second here. While we're in all these halts, I'm going to try to use the men's room. I'll BRB.
That is probably a really good call right there. So we'll take a look at some of these other names. Well, they halt and he goes. BBAI pushed up to the pre-market high of 326, got rejected. Let's see if this next candle can take it up there. But that is going to be the big. It looks like more like 325 might be the better level to watch for in BBAI. So see if we can break through that in a little bit. What else are we looking at today? Oh, AEHR. I'll take a look at that, and then we'll look at GXAI and RGTI. So AHR. Okay. Let me see what I got here. So 1530 was the intraday high that we just made. Really good movement out of the open here. Okay, so this just actually hit an EMA on my daily chart. It touched yesterday. I see that we have some resistance around the 1650 area. There's a high that we put in on the 25th of October. That's 1741. Those are some potential levels it could get up to. Also draw a trend line in some of these longer term spikes that we've had. So let's go back here to July and draw a trend line. And we are actually coming right up to a breakout spot. So
which ticker?
So we're on AEHR right now.
SIDU's open. SIDU's open.
Cool. SIDU's open and higher.
Yep.
And blasting off. Pun intended. 765 is the high now, so it blew through that at 780 level, or 780, went up through another level that I had, 750, almost went to 790. Be careful here. This looks like this could be a little bit of profit taking before the next move up. But beyond 780, I have 885 as the next level. So we're getting some pretty well priced. I have price action. I have levels going all the way up to the 20s. So
okay,
no shortage of levels here with SIDU. TNXP, that's open and it's now under $1. OPTX.
Now, real quickly here, Carmen. So I got corrected on this earlier, so it's only fair to roll it forward here. Carmen mentioning TNXP did announce FDA approval. Actually, it announced FDA acceptance. And I made that exact mistake earlier today. Technically, it's not approval; it's acceptance for one of its
drug applications.
There. Drug applications.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is like in about 6 to 12 months, they'll actually have the approval.
Yeah.
If it happens earlier, but here's the thing that approval could be at risk with the new administration. So if RFK comes in as Health and Human Services head and shakes up the FDA board, approvals might take even longer or get delayed indefinitely.
Interesting. Okay. Really good stuff there. LAES getting mentioned here. Vision saying when I logged on, LAES was doing a commercial and now it's up. LOL. This has been wild. This relative volume day from yesterday.
Hey, you wanted to draw another trend line because it looks like that's what we're about to break through with AEHR.
Sure.
I drew a trend line from the high from July 17th this year through the high of October 25th this year and kept that line going. And today we are right at that trend line.
July 25th. Here we go.
July 17th, 2024 and October 25th, 2024. I think you had it.
Yeah, I God bless it. Oh, I did have it here. I misclicked on it. It's so annoying. 17 through what? Right here?
October. Yeah, you pretty much got it. That's that next high there is October 25th, and we're coming. And then today we're coming right up to it. So
I got it.
Looking for
PRTG is open. PRTG is open here.
All right, where we going? Higher, lower, whipping around.
Looked like initially it went higher here, and now it might be going lower. Careful with this one. Big pop there. PRTG. Okay, higher is the answer. Oh my. Okay, I actually scalped a little bit there, but that was all over the place. I might have left some on the table.
950 looks like the next big area to get through there. So let's see if there's a big old concentration of shares that push through that. We are in a bit of a supply zone here too on the way back up. So it is going to probably be a little bit back and forth before it figures out which direction it's going to go. If it does end up breaking through it, then maybe we do see that 1126 print again. TNXP still halted. That's, oh geez, did this unhalt and then go lower and then halt again? Because that still looks like what it
sure did.
And yes, SIDU is halted to the downside after that huge pop out of the last halt.
So and PRTG still open, but might be halting to the downside here. 824, big pull.
Yeah, this one's still going back and forth as well.
This one might halt here. Okay, so the halt names. Oh God. So there we go. Halt. So PRTG, TNXP, and SIDU all rehalted. As if we didn't have enough action here this morning, we get more of it.
And it's funny because PRTG, with all the halts it's been doing, it looks like it's also done nothing. Just all day so far, nothing. NUKK, on the other hand, this one has recaptured its VWAP and is trying to go higher. So possibly we get 275 revisit coming.
Okay.
OPTX also curling up as well. Needs to get back above VWAP. I currently have that at about 437.
Naval looking for this actually so far, as long as this holds 375, I think a move back to the VWAP, not terrible here, but that 375 bottom, that's going to be one to watch.
All right, and as far as Rigetti goes,
did we get 200 on Google there? So okay, so I have GOOGL here. I've been watching GOOG, excuse me. Here we go on Google. That did get 200, 202 prints, by the way. Woo!
I'll take it. Rigetti, RGTI. So one thing I'm seeing here, because I was asked about it, was just to take a look at it. The price action we got this morning, we popped up to the high from yesterday, and now we're coming back in. I would want to see $9 hold. So even if we, trade, spike down beneath it, and then the next candle spikes right back up like we, just had earlier this morning, I would be okay with that as well. But $9 needs to hold, or else it looks like we are going to be going lower. So that'd be something to watch for there.
And I've got 926 there on the way back down. So we'll see here on that. Really quickly, did want to mention Apple. Red Dog talked about Apple earlier here. Apple continuing to push to highs. 253 now on Apple. These are new all-time highs here on Apple. The demise of this company, much exaggerated, it sure seems, with those channel checks on the phones and all of that. We'll see how that plays out. But like I've been saying, generally those are buy opportunities. Tesla here again. This dipped early and set some new intraday highs here. Tesla, watch this pre-market high here. Have that at just about what, 479. David, good stuff here on Tesla. See if this can actually move higher. Look at this Tesla rip is just insane.
So is NUKK. We got this going here as well, trying to push up into the threes.
That reclaimed VWAP just now.
Reclaimed VWAP, trying to push into, I mean, 275 is the big level it's trying to get over right now. But once it does, it looks like we could go into the threes. MACD looks like it's curling as well. So just keeping an eye on this, see if we get that movement.
And UKK pulling back a little bit from that VWAP on that move above VWAP. RR, that came back in here, recaptured VWAP.
SIDU came down to VWAP. This might go to the demand zone under 6, between 6 and 5. Let's call it about 540, 35. Then OPTX still trying to get back above VWAP. Not a whole lot else.
Nope.
AEHR is just trying to break through that that level I mentioned, that trend line.
SPY here, so that's up off the 604 area. I think we really need to trade above 605 to kind of turn this around. We'll see if we get that there on SPY, ticker SPY.
Yes, then GXAI. That's all. That was also getting mentioned. That having
was
a good morning.
AI name that we've seen before. Oh yeah, that's oh yeah. Who was that? Daniel. Good stuff, Daniel. Do we have news on this? Nope.
Nope. Probably just ripping with all the other AI names.
Tesla, another push to highs here. Look at this thing. What an absolute monster.
Oh man, that's gonna. The higher it goes like this, the harder the fall could be. Be sure you pay yourself, folks.
Yeah, I mean this thing. Look, we're gonna show. Let me bring Tesla on the bigger chart here. We've shown the rip on Tesla again. We talked with Red Dog about this. This was an election trade up massive. In fact, what here since November 5th? I'm gonna measure this. This stock is up. Oh come on. Here we go. The stock is up almost 100% since election day. 91%.
PRTG open, trying to hold 8 and
going back to it,
losing it. Well, it almost.
But I'm not in it.
Yeah. So that's losing 8. This looks like it's going to go.
It did lose 8. Yeah.
It looks like it's going to go to. I mean, it could go to 650.
What was the other level that you had here? 750 for PRTG. Was that one of them? This looks like a consolidation area that it could hold.
Yeah.
That it could
750 looks like a consolidation area. Okay. Absolutely. And then you have the 65 EMA right at about 7. And then you have 650 beneath that. So in 50-cent segments here, you have potential support levels.
Okay.
If it doesn't turn around here.
Ryan, I will squeeze every bit of Tesla. That doesn't surprise me, Lion. Doesn't surprise me. Glenn giving you a Fibbo level for Tesla here, 543.99. Might as well call that 544, Glenn. Let's not get cute about it. 1.41 level there. What was that, 13?
Here goes NUKK trying to get 3. And if it gets 3, we could. I mean, this is breaking a trend right now too. So all these stocks that have these trend lines that are forming in the pre-market, they're currently breaking them. NUKK through 3, 388 is the pre-market high. I don't know how far this one's going to go, but it's looking good so far. And MACD's looking great. This is shaping up to be a little bit of a move here for that one. PRTG. Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the entry here off that 65 EMA on the 5-minute is we're a full $1 from that entry. So that's real good stuff there.
So keep an eye on AEHR. It's still hanging out here up right at that trend line, looking to try and break through it. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Well, that was a cough, but thank you.
Well, what are you supposed to say for a cough?
Quiet.
Okay, I went with bless you, so we'll stick with that. AEHR, by the way, we talked about that trend line level. You can see it clear as day here. We're basically butting up against it. We're literally right there. That trend line clearly in play.
SIDU might have gotten support around the 550 area, trying to turn around and recapture VWAP.
I have it holding VWAP, which is interesting. 579 is the VWAP level. Looks really clean on my chart here.
So it looks like it's potentially setting up to, at least base for the time being. We'll see if that's what we get. That demand zone was apparently pretty strong. OPTX still trying to get that VWAP, and once it does, it might. Well, this would also be another trend to break.
Jonathan Cooper mentioning Bitcoin here. I just took a quick look over at the Bitcoin futures chart. That is trading higher here. Look at Bitcoin. Here's your daily chart here. 108 now on Bitcoin. 108,000 as this continues to push higher here on Bitcoin. Looking at the rest of the market here with it, S&P futures here down about just 0.4% here. So that's actually slightly off the lows. Dow, same deal here. Dow futures down 0.5%. NASDAQ futures down 0.34%. So all of these indexes here up off the lows, but still in red territory. Archer's going again. We'll check in on Archer. Saidu just lost the VWAP. Literally, as we started talking about Archer, Saidu loses VWAP.
Archer, regaining what it lost in the open here. Having a hard time getting above 9. Getting to 9, really, actually. 9, I mean, it looks like if it can get to 9, and it's going to try and put $9 on your radar. $9 is the target for to break over for Archer. You just draw a line there. You look to the left. You can see how the price reacts around that level. So far in the pre-market has not been able to get above 9. So I would imagine that the push to get up there is going to be robust if we can continue to hold these levels.
Okay. Watch Archer for going higher there. We'll see if it ends up getting that.
It needs to get past 9, and then I think it could go higher. NUKK, that one was great. MACD looking great. Getting a little bit of a pull here, but still looks like this one's to try and get up to that pre-market high of 388. Saidu trying to turn around. Still working on that. Just waiting for AEHR to make a decision on whether or not it's going to break through.
Saidu here. There was a fairly decent pop to give all of that back. Wouldn't really want to see that. GXAI getting mentioned by several of you in the chat.
Just be careful with Saidu. We had this is moving on relative volume now.
GXAI here. I don't see anything fresh. Last piece of news was a 50 million mixed security shelf from December 12th. So GXAI here, we're trading higher now.
Yeah, I saw that somebody was mentioning that they had some upper shadows here in GXAI. That looks to be the case. If we do hold above VWAP, though, it could be setting up for a bull flag, in which case we would try and take out that 440 high that we made. So
VWAP 375, thereabouts.
Yeah, I got a little bit higher than that, 382. But yeah, it's kind of in that same vicinity. So let's see if it can hold VWAP first. If it starts to move off VWAP, then it'd probably look a lot better at that point. PRTG still trying to turn around. That's still looking a bit heavy. BBAI trying to recapture VWAP. Same as Saidu. TNXP, same thing. Lots of these are under VWAP and having a hard time recapturing them, except for NUKK. That one is above VWAP and trying to take out the pre-market highs. This one looks the best right now, actually. Okay,
Hollow on the relative volume scanner. Not that you needed any of that action here today, 13, but Hollow popping the 155 here.
Here we go with NUKK. That is over 350. This was an area where it has been rejected all pre-market. So looking for that 388 to get broken here, and then we are off. Let's see where we could go with this. I see a potential level around maybe 4. Trying to see if there's any other levels that stand out. I mean, I don't want to make any predictions here, but there's a possibility it could run as high as maybe 575. Oh, we're halted now because it's doing such good things.
Indeed. NUKK halted. KWE has halted. QMCO looks like that was halted earlier, resumed and went lower. Tell you what, a lot of these stocks that we're watching end up getting halted. That's 5 today, right? NUKK, KWE, TNXP, SIDU. That's 4. What was the 5th? PRTG. That's 5. That's 5 stocks that we've talked about or had on our list here that ended up getting halted.
Yep. It's like a metro bus fleet. Many stops.
Jay, Mark Andreessen did a 5-minute interview with Startup Archive. It was about Musk. Fantastic interview, and I strongly urge you to view it. Mark Andreessen's recent interview that he did on Joe Rogan was absolutely fantastic. If it's not too much trouble, would you send me this link on X, Jay? I would definitely be interested in watching that.
All right. Just waiting for GXAI to do its thing. OPTX, that's about to, it's on the verge of recapturing VWAP. OPTX, breaking the trend line as well.
OPTX. Watch for that. 445 is your VWAP there on OPTX. Tell you what, this did a really good job holding that area. Volume is actually starting to expand to the upside too. Watch this area right here. If this can move through 445 here on OPTX, really good stuff here from the group. You guys are all over it here today. ONDS continuing to break down. Unfortunate price action here today, given some of the continuation that we have. But again, I'm in this for the long term. I'm going to wait this out. I definitely wanted to see this perform the other direction.
Look at RZLV.
Someone mentioned that earlier, I think. RZLV.
Another AI play.
255. This actually looks like this might pop the high here.
Yeah, that one's been having some nice movement up.
My blueberry pancake. I like plain blueberry pancakes are good, but plain pancakes are my favorite. Plain pancakes are my favorite.
OPTX setup potential, says Daniel. I mean, yeah, I want to see this VWAP break. That would be
so real quickly here, I'm just kind of looking at some of the option chains. All of the stocks that Jay mentioned earlier about potential pullbacks, all of those are lower across the board. PLTR lower, Reddit lower by 4% here. Broadcom ticker AVGO, that's lower by almost 5.5% here. That would have been really tough to jump on there. What were the 4? Reddit, Broadcom, Palantir. What am I missing? What's the 4th one that I'm missing, Jay?
What else has run?
Yeah, it's been a huge mover to the upside. Reddit. Why am I drawing a blank?
No,
I was
PRTG lost 8. That's going to go to the 65 EMA.
Man. Tesla. Oh, for heaven's sakes, Jay, it was Tesla. I forgot the most obvious one. That's embarrassing. Tesla, the only one from that group not meeting that criteria. The rest of those 3 rolling over. Which one?
AHR might be doing that trend or the trend line break here. It's certainly messing with it. Needs more volume though.
Look, dude, you are right on the trend line. It's literally right there.
Yeah. I'm waiting for GXAI to finish with its bull flag. It's still holding VWAP. I would be expecting there to be that push to the upside coming in the next 5 to 10 minutes. See if we get that. PRTG spin to the downside. That's gonna go down to the 65 EMA, maybe even lower. OPTX waiting for this to pop through VWAP. The volume hasn't looked great in a lot of these this morning. I don't know if you've noticed that. I don't know, here's
AEHR through that level there, 1550. Watch for that to move higher here if this continues to pop.
BBAI is trying to pop up to the pre-market high.
Just passing through is mentioning app, that's McLovin. And of course, it's App Lovin, but I like to call it McLovin here. This actually came off that 400. You know what's interesting? Just kind of looking at the chart, this looks like this wants to go lower. I'd be curious to hear what you think about this, 13. This had a nice little move up above 400. We retraced that recent move. We're below the 350 support here. Looks like if this breaks down here, 300 is next, and then beneath that, maybe even 250.
Let's see. Let's see it if make a close beneath 320. I think that might be the line in the sand there. No real body closes beneath that since last month. And it just got rejected by the 20-day SMA after falling through it multiple times. Actually, all week last week, it has been trying to get back above it and not successfully. Kind of looks like you have a head and shoulders almost here. I think this looks like we could be going lower in App Lovin.
Okay. That's kind of what we're watching. Here's going to be your left shoulder. Here's going to be your right shoulder. Here's going to be your head. Next direction should be boop. We'll see.
I'll tell you what, if we start closing under 320, I think 300 is coming up.
Okay. Okay, so 320, 300, 250, your downside spots here, ticker APP. Good mention here. Good mention on this one. Yeah. Just passing through. Appreciate you, boss. Hopefully you'll stick around.
AEHR going higher, 1558, now over that trend line. Still on low volume though, so I don't know if we're going to get a sustained move higher. Volume in these things, like I just said, not looking great. Like it just, hey, the first 5 minutes of the morning's over. Time to go back to whatever it is we were doing. BBAI, I'd be careful with this one. I'm starting to think this might be a triple top that we're seeing here, going from pre-market into the regular session. We had pre-market highs that we just moved over. That was the second or third time it's been up there. Going a little bit higher right now, but until I want to see what happens to this candle that we're about to close. But I would be careful with BBAI. SIDU, that looks like that might be going lower. Lots of these look like they're probably going to end up going lower. Oh, look at the pull in Nuke. What a pull. Right up to 388 and then broadsword.
Nuke, broadsword. We got all kinds of stuff going on here this morning. The NUKK backside of this move right back down to VWAP. Let's see. Arc.
There we go. All right.
What?
So BBAI, that's still going. That's looking much better now. I wasn't sure about that triple top there, but we broke through that. That's nullified.
BBAI, this has some juice to it. Glenn's saying this is a swing for me. Been trading around the core position. Glenn, you've timed this one pretty. Yeah, you've timed this one pretty well. It's actually been a pretty nice looking swing trade here.
Let's see, where does this end up going?
Oops.
I would want to see BBAI get over and hold 355. That seems to have been the difficult level that it's had. Got up there once recently for a day, held it, and then the next day it was right back beneath it and hasn't been up there since. And if it's going to be the next Palantir, I mean, got some pretty decent levels there. I think we could see 480. PRTG open and going lower. There's the 65 EMA.
BBAI, someone was buying $3 calls earlier. Those expire in January. Here's your PRTG right at that 65 EMA on the 5.
So let's see what we get next. It's probably going to end up going through it after a brief bounce. Let's see if we end up getting that. I frankly don't know where how low PRTG will go, but we do have some levels where it could bounce on the way down.
I'll tell you what, this Resolve AI that we looked at not long ago, RZLV, I feel like this is another 30 cents higher from when we talked about it last, just continuing to move.
TNXP, that one looks like it's going to maybe go down to the 200 EMA on the 5 minute and maybe even fall through it. This is a great trade. Carmen, and now it's all over, it seems.
Which one?
TNXP.
TNXP. Yeah. Sorry, when I read, sometimes when I'm reading things and I'm hearing you talking and I'm trying to recall a ticker, I just draw a huge blank on it. Was literally reading the chat, literally heard you say TNXP and then couldn't recall TNXP 2 seconds later.
OPTX. This one popped up over VWAP and got up to the consolidation area where it's finding resistance.
Oh, look at this. This setup doesn't actually look all that terrible right here. OPTX.
And BBAI, man, see, just big old broadsword. Got to be careful with these today. I just don't like the way these volumes look. And people are just like selling them as soon as they get up to a certain level. Be careful with these names today.
Daniel, take care of yourself. Glad you had a good day here. We'll see you next time. Thanks for your support.
MSS getting mentioned by the chat. This is Mission Solutions. We are getting some movement here off of Q2 revenue earnings.
Was this released this morning? Was this? Yeah. Okay, so this was pre-market here. Stock's up 55%. Good stuff here. Nice little move through the VWAP there too. MSS.
SIDU recovering. Broke through VWAP after getting some support at 550. I don't know if it'll hold, but it's trying to turn around there. BBAI just absolutely obliterated every single upside move it just had this morning.
And to the upside or to the downside now, BBAI.
Yeah.
310.65 EMA there. World peace, please. Starbucks doing okay. I'm about to give them a bunch of money this morning. Well, I can't speak to you giving them money here, but we can actually talk about Starbucks. This is another one that we looked at yesterday in the happy hour here. Kind of looking for this to trade down to the 200 and maybe even lose it. I'd actually be watching a little bit higher level here. This $90 level. I think if we lose 90 here, we probably we definitely test this 200, probably doesn't hold it, and we might even fill this gap down to 77. Starbucks not doing, didn't we get news that recently that the Chinese or the orders in China were less per ticket or something like that? I could have sworn we recently got
same store sales looking bad.
Yeah, like it was not great.
I got a trend line here that we're headed towards in SBUX. Looks to me like, just above where you're talking about, that 90 area, but more like 90 and change. That looks like it could be a potential support area if we don't get it at 92. We are very, very extended to the downside in SBUX, and I think that there could be a brief bounce coming before it makes its way lower. Could possibly end up getting to the 200-day SMA, but yeah, those would be the levels that I have. Needs to, if it doesn't hold 92, has to hold 90. Otherwise, we're going to the 200-day SMA, maybe even lower.
Yeah, I like Starbucks lower here. World peace.
And one thing that would be really good for the stock is if they spun off their Chinese business segment. And just basically sold that off and said, thank you, we're done. We're not going to expand in China like we had originally planned. That would be very good for the stock.
Okay. All right, we're going to go back to the main workspace here. BBAI flirting with that $3 level here. It's got a ways to go before it becomes the next Palantir. I'll tell you that much, especially with this. MSS, however, this is continuing to push here. 180 looks like that's next here. I would say 190, probably your next resistance level here. MSS, if we can get up there.
Oh man, the trend lines are good this morning. So you can draw a trend line on the 5-minute chart for MSS, starting with 192, going through that spike we had at 805 this morning. And when you keep drawing the trend line, you see that we are making our way up to there, but haven't broken it yet. Looks like about 175 might be the breakout spot.
192 through what? The
805 it was the next spike. Okay, maybe you don't have it on your chart. I don't know if that's a typo from mine, or not a typo, but it's a misprint from mine. But I have it spiking up to 182 at 8:05 this morning. Maybe go to a 1 minute. Oh, you have a 1 minute chart.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, let me see if I go to a 1 minute chart if I see it. Oh, it's still there. Happened in the
Well,
first.
this is turning around here anyway. In fact, what I would do now, 13, is I would just kind of redraw this trend line and set this up for the rest of the day here.
There you go. That will work.
See if we end up getting above that. BBAI calls again getting bought here. It's actually the second time I've seen that. And this is on the 5 minute here, being supported by the 65 EMA on the 5. We got a call here that Mullen has printed a new all-time low. Nobody is shocked at that.
SIDU is still trying to hold over its VWAP. We get some more closes above VWAP. That might help set it up to go higher.
Okay. Really quickly, we were talking earlier about rate cuts, right? We were talking about inflation, rate cuts. We're going to have the decision here tomorrow. We ran a poll in the chat for the YouTube side. So I'm sorry, you Twitter folk, the poll only works on YouTube. But we had 25 bips, a yes 25 bips, a yes 50 bips, and a no, they won't cut. The yes 25 bips running away with it with 72% of the vote. The next is no cut at 17% of the vote, and a 50 bips cut at 10% of the vote. So it looks like you folks think 25 is what we're getting here tomorrow.
Yep, I think so too.
Okay. You are joining the majority of the poll. Good stuff there.
Yeah, I said for some time now that I think because of the incoming administration, they're going to do one more cut in December, and then you'll have the inauguration in January 20th, and then you'll have the very next rate decision, in which case I believe they are going to hold off on rate cuts until at the very earliest May or June, and they might not even start cutting or doing anything then.
So that actually might set up then for a market sell-off right after that at late January. Interesting. Okay, I'm not saying that that's what you're saying is going to happen. I'm just saying a potential time frame.
There's a lot of things that are coming up in January that could trigger a market sell-off. I mean, you have Q4 earnings, which are going to start around the middle, like around the 15th and 16th. You'll have JP Morgan and Bank of America, Citi, and Goldman Sachs, all those big money names that everybody's paying attention to right now, with the expectation of banking deregulation and M&A, more M&A activity coming. So it could be that could be the start of where we start to get a little bit of an unwind. Then of course you have the Trump inauguration, you have the rate cut decision, you also have the Lunar New Year that's happening in Asian countries, and usually from about the middle of January until the end of January, you start to see more and more workers go home for that holiday, with them completely out of factories by the 28th. There's an expectation that China might stimulate their economy during that period of time, so that could create some potential Chinese trades in the very short term. So those will be several things that I'm anticipating that we have on the calendar that we know are going to happen.
Okay. Really good stuff there on that look ahead into January. Like I said, I'm still waiting for a market sell-off, but I can't tell you when it's going to come. Quick look at the market here. Just look at some heat maps. You can see exactly what's going on here. Sure looks like some of the big recent high flyers really leading us to the downside here, namely Broadcom, ticker AVGO, down over 5.5%. Nvidia continues its march down from the highs here, down 3.5%. Marvell, which got a mention earlier here, is down 10.5% here today. This has been another recent huge flyer. AMD, PanW, CrowdStrike, Palantir, all on the way down. So some red across the board here. One of the big names that we're seeing trade up here, Pfizer, plus 4.32% to the upside.
That might just be because it's been beaten up lately.
Guidance boost. It looks like we're getting there. Talking about it right now on CNBC. I think Borla's going on. I'm not sure how much pull he actually has though anymore.
Well, it looks like 2650 is a big resistance area. On the 25th of November and the 9th of December, it tried to get above there, could not close above it, came back down the following days. 2650, big level for that I see here in Pfizer for it to get over.
Okay. Saidu here re-lost the VWAP after that attempted curl. NUKK pushing away from the VWAP to the upside here. Mind that double top here on NUKK. I've got that at what, 389 here, probably 390. Let me actually check my broker here.
Oh, wow. That was a nice drop. And then it just is turning. Be careful with NUKK. This thing is just moving all kinds of around.
Yeah, I've got, let's see if I can, let's turn the scrolling off here. Let's see if I can get you that. I got the high print there, 388 on NUKK, 388.
Let me see here. I was going to look up something and now I can't remember what it was.
I probably screwed it up there for you.
Sometimes my brain does that too.
Yeah, that happens. It happens.
I know it was something. Oh, I thought it was something regarding the AI names. It'll come back to me. Don't worry, I'll figure it out.
Was it? Yeah, maybe it was one of the other AI names. NBIS. This is another AI name that we've traded here. This having a rough day too.
GXAI doesn't look great at all. This at this stage, this looks like it's going to end up going lower, maybe down to 3. Did get some support from the 65 EMA on PRTG, but the volume is really low, so I don't know if we can really expect a whole lot out of that one.
Mission Solutions here. Wow, nasty pull. Wow, yeah. Look at that. So, Guy, you were mentioning this was pulling here. Move right up to that trend line that we drew. Bang, just straight up. Big time move down here. Tons of selling volume, too. Those volume sticks, the biggest of the day, all to the red side there. Wow.
So the SPY is down to a level where there was a previous all-time high. That was 603.35. And that we put that high in on November 29th, it looks like. So we are at the point where, you know, we've given back pretty much December. Then we're starting to get into November's territory. I think I still would be looking at 600 as the line in the sand for whether or not the market goes
that makes
higher.
Sense. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
If we lose 600, I think we could end up going lower, much lower.
603 going to be the spot to watch here.
Looking forward to Eggnog Nation. Yeah, you know,
I'm not a huge eggnog fan.
Oh, well, I was going to say, you know, I might just kind of, you know, hang out and wait for things to set up because it just doesn't look like there's a whole lot of great setups at the moment. And all the setups that I do see, they're not having good results. So I am going to be trading lightly today. What's up?
I can't help it. I'm still wondering about eggnog here. Maybe we should run an eggnog poll. See who likes eggnog versus. Do you like eggnog?
There is
that laugh has me concerned.
There is a craft beer out here that I drink in lieu of eggnog.
Okay.
It's called St. Arnold's Christmas Ale, and it is absolutely delightful.
Okay.
So no, I do not drink that while I have Christmas ale.
While you have the good Christmas beer. By the way, NUKK, we were mentioning this. This looks like this has put in now a triple top at that spot here, 388. Is that spot to break? That's going to be your high print of the day.
VIX still going up. You know, after we hit that, I think we got under 12 slightly, right? Or in the 12 area. As soon as we had that happen, that might have been the moment where, you know, we started to get the selling occur. That was a great call by some of those folks in the happy hour on that.
Yeah, the low print that I have recently here was from Friday. We had 1324, but you're right, 13. I think that if you zoom out a little bit on that chart, I think it was a 12 handle print. Let's see if I can. Yeah, it was 1270. That's exactly right. 1270 was your low print there.
Yeah, we get the VIX getting to those 11 to 12 levels. That's usually an indication of the market reversing soon. Especially if it gets under 10. I think at one point we had it under 10, and I was just like, dang, we're probably going to see a sell-off soon. All right.
A lot of things reversing here.
Yep. What's green today?
And SPY still at the lows too.
Yep, SPY falling through that level I mentioned. Next one is going to be, looks like 602.80, or yeah, it's about 602.80 would be the next support level that I can see. Yeah, this thing looks like we're going to be testing 600 pretty soon. I don't know about today, but this month.
There we go. NUKK through that area here through 4 as well. What is the high print here? 418.
Well, if we continue with this momentum, let's see if it gets up to 570. Yeah, 570. See if it gets up there. And what's going on with some of these other ones? Saidu still going lower, trying to find some support beneath VWAP. PRTG is still trying to hold that 65 VMA. If it continues to hold the 65 VMA and kind of get a base going, this might reverse, but still too early to tell with this one right now.
SMCI here. This was mentioned by Lion Atlas. SMCI actually trading up here today. Watch that 35. That was a pre-market high. We'll see if we get through that here.
No touch for me.
Yep, same with me. Same with me. Lunar getting mentioned. Let's take a look here at Lunar.
Nuke is going to halt to the upside, it seems.
446. Oh, my. Lion was saying that this is going to pull a drug. Remember what drug did?
Which one?
DRUG ticker had 2 days here where it just went absolutely crazy. He was saying NUKK was going to do something similar.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
Not halted here in NUKK.
No, it's not. It was kind of hanging out there a second. Then the shares just got removed. Looks like I'm still saying 570, 575. That's going to be where we go today. I think that's entirely possible. We'll see if that's what happens. Just need to make sure we get that volume sustainably pushing it up there. Look to the left. You can also see how that 575 area has been, well, maybe just beneath it. Looks like 615 might be another level as well, just above that. But I like 575, 570. But you're saying Nuke's going to 4. I'll tell you what. Let me look for some other crazier levels in that and see where we might get those. It might run up to and then find resistance.
Mike, Paul Meeks is tomorrow. Paul Meeks is Wednesday, and it is on the calendar. So I'll check with you and confirm it for you tomorrow. But so far, it's on the calendar. We got Anne Marie today at 11. Anne Marie in about 30 minutes here.
How about 575? And then if we continue with the upside movement, I'd be looking at 790 to be the next level.
Real quick here, stay focused, saying Ryan in 13, thoughts on CVS. Okay, well, first of all, thoughts here is that this chart looks terrible. We are in a pretty huge downtrend here, and we are starting to accelerate away from the 200-day moving average. The next thing that I would be looking at here for a trade would be a bounce. But man, I'm not even sure where we get that. Maybe in here, $43. We're currently oversold here, so I kind of think that maybe $33. Let's take a look at a bigger time frame here.
I think. Did you say 43?
43, not 33. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, 43. 43 looks pretty good. That's a high from 2008.
Yep, 43, maybe even 43.40 here. I definitely, and even if we're looking at a monthly here, we're approaching oversold territory. Weekly, we're also approaching oversold territory here. Yeah, I would say probably that 43-ish area. So maybe 42.50 to 43.50 That would probably be your next bounce spot here. But man, oh man, this chart looks awful.
Clear as day, double top.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, CBS. That might be a really good trade here. What's the financials looking like? Okay, it looks like their income's taking a massive hit, but still not it's not in the red on a quarterly basis. What is the? Looks like their cost of revenue really went up. Not sure what the reason for that was without doing more research. That was a good mention. Interesting setup. Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, in the Bears say blurb here, CVS Health faces a challenging outlook with management projecting declines in Medicare Advantage memberships by 5 to 10% and expected losses across multiple health benefit segments, leading to significantly lower earnings projections. Maybe that's responsible for the downtrend that we're seeing ourselves in here. But
so I would, okay, at that point, I would just think that unless there's something that's going to fundamentally turn this around, the only trade I could really see anytime soon would probably be that low RSI bounce play. Off that 43.
Yeah, 43.50. Yeah.
Until there's something more material about the way the business is going to be, getting more revenue or seeing improvement in revenue. I would just only take that trade and probably not touch it after that until I got some better idea of what's going to happen with it.
And the reason that I'm looking at this stay focused is because I really think that with the recent movement here, the recent move down, the short trade is probably over, right? I don't want to short at the bottom. So at this point now, I'm kind of waiting for a place for this to hold, and then I would look to trade that. That would be the long side. Let me know if you have any thoughts on this one, though. Let me go back to the main workspace here. We can roll through what the scanner is telling us.
It's telling us that this is not our day yet. I mean, there's probably some good trades that some folks got into. I mean, even Bitcoin is pulling now down to 105, 800.
Pulled off. It looked like it on the futures chart here. It was trying to print 109.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't quite get there. 108,960.
Yeah, I mean, this might just be a day where we sit on our hands. That's what I'm doing for the time being until I see something that is worth clicking on. GXAI is trying to get back up to VWAP, but with that volume, I don't know that it's going to get above it. RCAT's still having a good day though. That found a bottom around 835, turned around, getting higher than pre-market, but we are up to a resistance area, potential supply zone from the price action yesterday. Yeah, RCAT rebounding well.
Yeah, it sure has. This sure has been a nice move here. All right, folks, we're going to start our super duper scientific poll on eggnog right now. So be sure to vote. I can't wait to see if the group likes eggnog or does not like eggnog. And I apologize. I know that's only for our YouTube viewers. While you're voting in that poll, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button too. While you're there. Yeah, Smita saying Bitcoin pullback is nothing after that excellent run. I completely agree with you there. Like, just not even a big deal at all on that pullback. We ain't done yet with Bitcoin.
Looks like Nuke's still trying to get some movement going here. Trying to find some support after getting over those pre-market highs. So now that resistance has become support. Let's see if we end up getting that here with NUKK. See what I'm saying? Getting at there? A resistance now turns support.
Yep, right here. Mm-hmm. Right here.
Yep.
And I believe that 388 was a previous day high that it was. That was a previous day high that we snapped through.
Mm-hmm. So let's see if we get this upside movement here. to that $5 and something change level I mentioned earlier. I think it was 575. And I'm being asked to look at hood.
Okay, let me get to the bigger chart here. We can go ahead and chart that out. I'm assuming that's what they were asking for.
Yeah, I want to look at hood.
Let's do that.
All right.
Look at this huge cup on hood.
Well, question is, do we end up going all the way back up to that $85 level to make it so that the cup is fully formed? Let's take a little bit of a zoomed in look here. So far it looks like 44 might be a potential level here to get through.
What's interesting here? I know that this is kind of long. Probably want to see a little bit bigger handle here, but I'm looking, if this is a cup, I was wondering here if this might be the start of a handle, and maybe we're going to some new highs here on a push through 45. Looks like this pulled back to about 35 and a half.
To me, this looks like it's just more price action that's conducive to forming the cup.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a big handle. You know what I mean? I agree with you. I think
I would say your hand, if we're going to get a cup and handle with this, your handle formation will probably come with the break of the 50-day SMA.
Okay, so you're thinking maybe a 32 then to form that handle.
Yeah, because if you look at the price action here, it's been riding up the 20-day SMA pretty well.
Sure
Every
has.
time that it breaks beneath the 20-day SMA, the 50 catches it. I think we'll get a better handle formation if we lose the 50 before recapturing. That would be something I'd watch for. So it could be a time before that happens. Not too extended. It is coming off from being extended. But I would just kind of look at the price action from 2021 for levels as to where it's going to go to the upside and downside. Here goes NUKK. That's resolving nicely. So that's kind of what I would look at here. And 44 really did stand out to me. That's one of the levels that did from the price action back then. You could also look at maybe just under 48. There's a number of levels that you can draw from on this on the price action back from 2021, which is where we're coming up to. New intraday highs and UKK. That was a really good one.
Watch it live here. Popped above 450. It came right back in and UKK.
That was a really, really good one. Nice setup. So, but if we're going to go higher, still looking at 575.
QBTS. You guys are mentioning QUBT. What happened with QUBT? Let's bring it on screen here. New highs here on QUBT. So this is the quantum name that's really been doing well. How's QMCO and Rigetti doing? QMCO lower here today. Rigetti. It looks like we made a nice little double top there, 380 or 983 on Rigetti.
I don't know.
RR back to highs.
That was on the daily chart for QUBT. That was a nice, bull pennant that it made, and then we just have the breakout here. I don't know how high this goes. We're kind of into some uncharted areas here. We had a December, a Christmas of 2020 rally that took this up to 2507. I don't know that we're going to see that. That was during a time when there was a lot more market activity, a lot of stimulus going in. So that would be a wild push. And it's interestingly that we're right in the same area at the same time too, 4 years later. So can't really say for sure where this is going, but if we're going to get that push, 25 would be the thought. It has to break through 18 though, or I'm sorry, 17.
Okay. ENTH, this is eHealth. It's really kind of low volume.
BBAI recaptured VWAP. This is looking like it might try and go back for another test of 333. And UKK $5. We're not too far away from that level I mentioned, 575.
Soundhound, this is a little bit low about that being kind of overpriced at 20, a little bit lower off that spot here. Yeah. Scapegoat saying I wouldn't chase QUBT. I wouldn't chase any of these quantum names, just to be clear.
Yeah, they've had a really big run.
Yeah.
Let a lot of these things that we've been seeing move just come in and cool off first before they provide their next setups. You got all the drone plays, the space plays, the quantum plays, the Bitcoin name. Maybe not so much the Bitcoin names. That's kind of moving on its own thing. But all the other stocks we were just mentioning that were in those themes, let those cool off. Those themes have been really, really hot over the past 60 days. Just let's let it cool off. And we'll get some better levels for entry.
And UKK at 5, Lion adamant that we're going to 40 here. Just factor that in. Be careful on that.
You don't want to get nuked.
No, you don't. You don't want to look like Coinbase's chart either. This thing trading straight down here, down 15 points from the intraday high there. So
NUKK got as high as 548, running into resistance. Still don't think it's quite done yet. I'd be still looking at that 575. They just had news come out in UKK.
Yeah, Nukkleus achieved strategic milestone with the acquisition of a controlling stake in Star 26, a defense-focused acquisition company and a provider of Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. This news is 2 minutes old. 2 minutes. Should I check into this PR here real quick? Involved a total purchase price of $26 million, including cash, a promissory note, and Nukkleus's common stock and warrants.
All right, we pushed through 550 here. I think we're getting that level I mentioned. Here's 550 now, and we're through 560, 568, 569. Just 6 more cents.
Yeah, this is wild.
And there it is. Hit the target. So probably comes back in a little bit before it makes the next move.
These targets that we were throwing out here, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome, 13. Getting it done.
So next target.
Yeah. What a move here on NUKK. Great call on this one.
So if we start to get a little bit of a pullback here, because we are entering a consolidation area from earlier this year. It might take a little bit of time to get through, but the next target I mentioned earlier, 790, that would be where it could go to next if we get enough volume to chew through this consolidation that is between pretty much here. It's at 575 and 8, almost $9. But much of it is right about the $7 area.
We should call you guys the Bullseye Boys. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I had to give that title to 13. His spots are pretty crispy, down to the penny.
Oh man, I don't know about down to the penny.
I mean, sometimes
but they're not too. They're pretty close.
Well, they're pretty good.
I'll admit they're not. They're pretty close. But to the penny, I don't know if I get that bad yet.
Pretty good. Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. Okay. Does anyone see any other setups out there? I don't really see anything else great here. Donkey Kong, is this moving on news? DKNG?
GXAI trying to recapture VWAP. So there's that. That's potentially setting up as well. AEHR, this looks like it's put an intraday head and shoulders in. Don't know if we'll see it go any higher than it has today, 1565 being the high. But there might be some support around 1430 for it to consolidate, go sideways, maybe try and trade back up. But I don't know that we'll see the high that we got today.
Microstrategy down 4.5% here, 390. We haven't gone yet to the 500 price target that someone assigned here. Microstrategy down a little bit today.
Big B's with the horseshoes and hand grenades comment. implying that you don't need to be exact, just close.
That's true. I guess that is true of trading. It's normally only true in horseshoes and hand grenades, but I guess in trading, as long as you get close there, you should be all right.
And trying to push higher here. I just put in a high of 589. I think this would, maybe cool for a couple of minutes before it tries to make its next move. All right.
This was just a monster move here today. Can't believe it. AEHR, by the way, backed off that trend line, went there, backed off of it. We'll see if it gets back there. See if it can test that area again.
Like the Jay Rice, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I haven't seen that Wicked movie yet. I saw when I went to New York, I saw the stage performance. It's pretty good. But I haven't seen that movie yet.
Yeah, I'll leave that one to you. I'll be honest. I'm about as tired as I can be of this whole Wicked stuff that we're seeing on TV.
Yeah. I'd probably just wait for it to come out and direct to video.
Wiss, this is an interesting question. Are you team Bryson or team Rory? I see the problem here, Wiss, is that I like both of these guys. Like, why do the two guys that I like have to be fighting with each other or going at each other? Don't have an answer yet for you on this one. That's what I'll say. Don't have an answer yet for you on this one. Okay. Votes are in. Votes are in on the eggnog poll. Appreciate all of you in participating in that. 56%. Well, this is pretty split. 56% say no, eggnog is gross. 43% say yes, love it.
Oh, there is no try. Great job with AEHR.
Okay, so much for the eggnog then. We'll bring up AEHR.
I'm about to go and show you the beer I drink in lieu of eggnog.
Well, you know what? You could definitely send me some pictures of that. Is that something? Is it like a local Texas microbrew, or is that? Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I figured.
You can go to the brewery and you can eat outside, and it's kind of like an event that you can go to, and it's open every day. So
only in Texas is there a Christmas event where you go to eat outside.
No,
that makes sense.
Not a Christmas event. It's just open all the time. Like you can go to their brewery and just eat at their brewery and drink their beer.
Eggnog is a Christmas thing. That's where I was going with that.
QUBT trying to push up to 1678. Found some support down around 1550.
Gary saying eggnog is better with bourbon. Gary, my retort to that would be, what isn't? Vision saying I should have included a third category with rum or maybe with booze. By itself, it's not that tasting, so I could not vote. Okay, appreciate that. I'll tighten up the polls a little bit more. That's good stuff.
NUKK coming in a little bit more now. This is why we want to let it, just want to wait and let it do its thing. Once we see that it's found a base that we're happy with.
Well, now the last time that it did this, we called the spot perfectly, right? We called the double top that was 388. The thing bounced directly from there. Now we actually, well, that's the 1 minute. Let's see what we're at. Okay, so on the 1 minute, that 65 EMA was pretty much lining up with that same spot. So now, what do we think here? 447, 445 as a potential spot? Only 40 cents away.
I mean, yeah, 445, 440 could be a spot, but I would just wait and see what it does. I don't want to make a prediction on to where it's going to bounce. I think at this stage, given the market breadth that we've been dealing with, we could be setting up ourselves to catch a falling knife. We don't want to do that. Let's just let it, do its thing. Let it fall where it's going to fall, and then we can make a decision then. QBT, on the other hand, that one looks like it really wants to try and get above 1678. This needs more volume.
Three Floyds, by the way. I know, Tony, you were mentioning you can eat at Three Floyds in Munster. Three Floyds beer is awesome. It is still Alpha King, one of my favorites of all time. Here is your QUBT. We'll see if that takes out the double top there.
Just kind of looking around and seeing what's setting up.
See a whole lot. QBTS, this might be curling here. Watch for that to break above this 830 spot. QBTS.
The real wild one today has been BBAI.
Yeah, it sure has.
That one went under 2. Now it's back trying to approach the intraday high of 333. It's a wild one.
BBAI, this has been all over the place here today. We'll see if that goes higher.
XIII recaptured VWAP. Now it's looking at it as support. If it holds support, that might help push this up back to the 440 level that we had earlier. AHR getting resistance from the 65 EMA. If it cannot recapture, I think it goes lower.
Meta looks like it's coming off the lows. Took a look at Meta earlier, but only briefly, indeed. Meta, actually, those lows looked like those were, what, Fridays too? Yep. Fridays, 617.5 lows down there.
I don't like the way the intraday price action looks. It seems like it's going lower.
On anything, right? Or
are you, well, Meta specifically, since we're talking about it, that just looks like a straight bear flag.
Yeah, I mean, this actually kind of looks similar to the SPY intraday, doesn't it? It feels like, yeah, not quite the same, but similar.
Yeah, let's see what it can do between here and I don't want to say 625. Maybe I should. Let's see what Meta can do between here and 625. If it can't get through that area, then yeah, it's likely going to go lower. And
I'm going to check in and just see if there was any other news prints we should be aware of. Retail inventories, X auto inline. Retail sales month over month for November, 0.7 versus the 610 estimate. The prior read was 0.5, nothing huge there. Core retail sales month over month, 0.2 versus the 4/10 estimate. Not really seeing anything big out here.
What's the sectors looking like? What's the best performing sector right now?
Let's see here. Well, we can estimate that based on the ETFs here. The best performing one, I've got that as the XLY. The XLY. So consumer discretionary. At least as far as these go here, see a red out there with the exception of that. And what's XLP?
Consumer staples.
Consumer staples. Staples and discretionary. Good call there.
So that was one of the things we were discussing yesterday about the 3 most beaten up sectors that could.
You know what? You're reminding me, folks. This is one of the resource. Thank you, 13. God bless it. I had this thing queued up for it today too, and I still forgot to do it. So appreciate you. I'm going to turn it right back over to you, but really quick, this is actually one of the sector tools that we use in the happy hour. Really nice, easy to read chart. That's kind of easy to use. So we're going to refer to this, I'm sure, at some point. I threw the link there in the chat. 13, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no problem. So, you have the year to date, which is pretty much going to be, what we're going to end up with for 2024. The most beaten up sectors are going to be energy, consumer discretionary, and materials. So one thing about energy is that during the Trump administration, all 4 years that he was in office, energy was just like the worst performing sector. So there might be some anticipation that we're going to get that as well again. But I don't know that we're going to necessarily get a lightning strikes twice moment here. But the other sectors that I'd be looking at, of course, are those other 2 really beaten up ones for different reasons, and it might come down to food security and supply chain security, in addition to the energy sector, which is going to be energy security. It seems like we are going through a major supply chain shift. We're going to be seeing a lot of countries decouple from each other. And I think these are the 3 areas we're going to want to pay attention to the most because they could have the biggest global impacts.
Okay, good stuff there. Yeah, it does. And one of the other things here real quickly that you'll notice about some of these sectors is that one year they might be the laggard, they might be at the bottom, and then the very next year they're at or near the top.
Look at utilities.
Yeah, utilities is a really good example of that. This has actually jostled back and forth over several years. So like I said, this is a really interesting tool. It's extremely easy to use. This was shared in the happy hour group that we have in the evening. So figured I'd share it with you folks here. Link is in the chat. Go back to Benzinga Pro. Take a look at that market overview again here real quick. Looks like Tesla higher. So Tesla giving us some green relief there. AbbVie and Pfizer going to be your big green blocks there. Avago still leading the way to the way down. Sorry.
And QUBT. That one's just on a tear right now. Let's see here. Might get see how you've got these breakouts, and then once it starts to turn around, it really comes in. We're at I drew a trend line, like an upside trend line here, because every time it seems that we hit that trend line, it comes right back in. So we're there right now. We might get a pull in QUBT here, and that pull might take us down to VWAP.
So are you looking at something like this?
Yeah.
Are you really kind of extending it out here?
Yeah, I only did with the first that one peak we had before the regular session opened. So it's really just the last three peaks that we had. Yeah, it's pretty much that. So if this pattern is going to continue to repeat, then we should see reversal and the price come back in a little bit here.
Okay.
That's one of the things that's not looking great, though. And UKK, I saw that was getting a mention. It looks like it's trying to push higher now.
Tom V, you want me to follow up with Anne Marie on that Tesla one? Can do that. Let me go ahead and add this here. The other stocks that I have, I only have two on the list here for potential Anne Marie trades. I've got Accenture, ticker ACN, and Waste Management, ticker WM. I'm going to add Tesla for it. You wanted an update there, Tom. We might even be able to start with that. Doug Ford, Rob Ford. I don't know either of those guys, but they're not Tom Ford, if you know what I'm saying. So it is what it is. We'll ask Anne Marie about that.
What's the thought with Waste Management?
Here, it's just a chart. We're just looking for different stocks to play here. We actually talked about Waste Management yesterday, and the interesting part about it is if you take a look at it, we are right at the 200-day here. So I'm almost thinking, you could play this in either direction here.
Yeah. Okay. I see that.
So, Sideshow, take care of yourself. It sounded like this was a really profitable day for you here.
Yeah.
So we're going to send you off with a register ring into the sunset. Go to the West, my friend. Go to the West with all your suitcases full of cash, baby. CIEN here. You want to, James, were you asking me to ask Anne Marie about this? We can do that. Did she put one? I think we had one of these the last time we talked to her.
I would be curious to know if she thinks that Waste Management holds 200. Seems like with the way this trades, every time it gets into a sideways consolidation, that's just what it does for maybe a couple of years. It just kind of goes sideways and then it breaks out. Look at the price action over the past 6 years. You get some sideways action starting in June. We got that whipping around from the pandemic. But after that settles, then you have the breakout in March of 2021 that takes it up to the 160s or above 150. That consolidates for a while until October of 2023. One of that.
The next leg up.
Next leg up. And so now we're in the next consolidation area. How long this lasts? Maybe not. We don't see another move up until sometime in late 2025 or 2026.
Okay. Jay asking about NBIS. I know we're over here. We're going to be going to Anne Marie here in a sec. Jay is saying, anyone know this NBIS story? Yeah, we discussed this recently. This used to be an old Russian stuff. Yandex, I think. If am I getting that right?
I think so.
Yandex, and then they had, I think they had like $2 billion in assets that were transferred over when they changed the company to NBIS. And I think that one of the initial worries was that we're worrying if that they were going to be able to use those funds. This is an AI data center play as well. I think that's kind of that's basically. Did I miss anything there? 13. I'm trying to do all
No,
that.
you're
from
right.
memory.
When the Russia Ukraine war broke out, they stopped operations there. They basically got off the exchange and they moved all their operations elsewhere. I believe it was Finland, and
Yeah, that's it.
now they're trying to get back up and running with their business under a new ticker. So this could end up being a really big AI play in the future. I just don't know if it's necessarily noticed yet, or there might be not enough investor confidence yet, being that it is a formerly Russian company.
Yeah, and question about where some of those assets were sourced from. That's what I thought. They stopped trading it for the war/sanctions.
Exactly.
Yep, that's it, Jay. You got it. You're on top of that. Okay, 13. Any closing words for the group here? Really great stuff here today from you.
Hey, folks, this market is looking like it is getting a little tired here. I would not fault you at all if you decided you just want to sit on your hands today. This would be a great exercise in discipline with how bad the market breadth is. So just take that into consideration if you are still thinking about trading today. It's just not the greatest environment at the moment. Don't get yourself hurt. Protect yourself. I'll see you tomorrow, folks.
Perfect stuff. 13. Take care. We'll see you on happy hour. 13's departure, of course, leaves room for our options queen, Anne-Marie. Let's bring her on. Anne-Marie, happy Tuesday. How are you doing here today?
Happy Tuesday to you too. Well, besides a dislocated knuckle, I'm fine.
You dislocated your knuckle? Who did you beat up?
I hit it against my bathroom counter.
Okay, so your bathroom counter was acting up and you had to put it back in line. That's what I hear there. I'm sorry. I'll tell you what, Anne-Marie. I haven't done that with my hand, but I have hit my funny bone on my bathroom door or counter. And let me tell you something, it's not very funny, turns out. So I understand, but that's okay. We're going to fight through that here today. I don't know how much you caught. We did have some pretty good interaction here. It looks like we want to start with an update, though, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
On one of the trades that you've given out. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw your charts up here. Look at that. We are back, folks. Okay. Let me clear off this comment here. All right. So I think that the first question here was about Tesla. Let me scroll back up here real quick. Ask Anne-Marie about the Tesla butterfly she put together for 1 penny expiring on Friday.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let me, that. All right. So let me make the setup a little bigger. Look and feel. I need to go to very large, I think. Yeah, that ought to do it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. And so here we are. Now, today, it's actually going for 34-cent credit because price is moving so high. But this is a 1x3x2. Now, yesterday, we put these on and they were so cheap. Let me tell you how much those were yesterday. Let me look here. Let's see. Those things have, golly, they have done so well. And I'm going through my list here. Okay, so this one is up 50% from yesterday. This one is up 70% from yesterday. And this one was, I got it for a penny to fill, but now it's a 38-cent credit. So technically speaking, I'm upside down in the trade. Mm-hmm. But what I picked out, you could get it for a credit now. Let me flatten this trade just in case this market bounces out of the way. You could get it now and maybe it'll fill as a credit, but it's the 490, 510, 530 butterfly. It does require a little bit of margin because the spreads on the bottom are as wide as the spreads on the top. That's why it's so cheap. The others do not require margin, but they're holding really solidly. And so my thought is that Tesla, if you're thinking about doing something like that, I said, hey, let's not think about it fading. Let's just move in the direction of trend and let's see if it can get to 490. That's why I've got the 490 there. It stopped shy at 483. So if you had a couple of these and you're up, you already had to pay more than $1 for them anyway. And so if you're up, then it's a great place to go. You know what? I'm taking a 50% profit from being overnight, or I'm taking a 40% profit from being overnight. There's nothing wrong with taking that kind of gain in the overnight. Don't be a Scrooge and look for something savage, right? It just might be that that's what it's going to give you. If you want to separate it out and say, all right, I bought 2 of these, I'm going to sell one, you just got to watch, because this expires Friday. That's why they were all so cheap. We were just looking for a big blow off top of this, and that's why we positioned. And though it was a little expensive, comparatively, it has paid off in spades. Magnificent. And it's still available. Literally, this 1x3x2 is still available if you're willing to open up yourself to a little bit of margin.
Okay, and that body on that 1x3x2 there looks like 510.
Yeah, the middle
yeah.
strike. Yep. So it's $20 wide. Now you could go $10 wide and not have a 1x3x2. But I was looking for a massive outsized gain, and that's why I picked it 20 wide.
Well, what was interesting to me about that value is that we had a re-rating here by Mizuho. They went from neutral to outperform, and they took their price target from 230 to 515. So they almost hit your body on the spot.
Oh my!
So that was news this morning here on Tesla. Okay. Thank you, Tom. Good stuff there on that one. Okay, Anne-Marie, I don't know if you had stuff lined up. Of course, if you do, we'll run with it. But I did have 2 potential stocks that we can look at here. One of them is an oldie but a goodie, ticker ACN Accenture.
Okay, that's funny. That's on my list because I know they're reporting.
Beautiful.
Yes.
We'll start with that.
Okay. Well, let's do it. It's been a minute since I've done a trade here, but let's take a peek. It's been in an updraft, and we're coming into earnings. Here are our boxes. Let me delete all of this so that we can have a space. I think that market is going to be short right there. Okay, so here's what we have. Interesting formation. First of all, let our eyes do the work. Okay? Don't overthink the market, I beg you. I think that's why Ryan and 13 do that well in the speed round that they have from early in the day until now. They just go, look at that. It's moving up. It's holding support. It's moving up. It just lost support. It's very... Your mind doesn't rabbit trail down into anything other. What's the headline news? What's the directional motion? And I find this to be a very powerful way to look at the market, which is why
we're basically focusing on catalyst and price action.
Exactly.
And that's exactly it.
And it's very beautiful. It's truly beautiful. And so that's why I'm always sneaking in there.
I love it.
And listening.
You don't even have to sneak in. You're welcome all the time. Standing invite.
I don't want to cause a ruckus.
Well, I'll tell you what. So real quickly here, Lion Atlas is mentioning that we need to buy the biggest insurance coverage possible to protect Anne-Marie, if from nothing else than from the counters in your own house. So we got it.
Look, my husband has a joke about wrapping me in bubble wrap to take me anywhere. It's hilarious.
Okay.
So, all right. So take a look at this wedge, right? We have the market. It's price compressing. This, of course, is very institutionally owned. And you know, it had its woes, and ever since then, it had this absolutely monumental run from the 2000, holy smokes, where's old resistance, new support? Looks like 2010, right? Monstrosity of a move, flag pattern, so likely to break to the north, but perhaps a little bit more slowly. Okay, if I, let me now, hold on, style, reset to the default. I want to see the other technical indicators. All right. So if we're staring down this kind of motion, my thought is the following. This midline of pressure is very likely to be that range of motion that we could see on a dip and then a bounce, right? So trend is up but sloppy. So let's go to the weekly chart now, and let's see what's happened to this over the last 4 earnings. This one is at the top of some kind of range, and it fell off a cliff, had one bounce, and continued to fade. This one bounced, retraced for a couple of weeks, and then moved relative to trend. This one pulled back a couple weeks, moved up. This one just ran, but then gave it all back. It ran up for 3 weeks and then gave it all back by the 6th week. So we have to look at timing to see how these guys, it looks like they're good for about 3 weeks and then they give a large majority of it back. Or if they fade, they give a large majority of it back and then fall. So I think price action is a little bit weak. Let's, wow, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I suspect a directional move down into the lower edge here, but it's a higher low since it's at the top of the range. So I don't know. Let's see what the options tell us. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. So we have 3 ways we can do it. We can look at an iron condor and we can choose maybe 380 to 390 and then old resistance 320 to 310. But let's see. Okay, 320. I have an ice pack on my hand, so I'm hobbling around here.
We're fighting through it, Anne-Marie.
Okay, so what? Oh, that's a minus. Sorry. Knucklehead. Okay, 320 to 315, and then 385 to 390. Okay, so that's in the range. It needs to be about $1, but it works. It works. Here are the other ones. Let's say that what this chart action will do is actually come in at 340 and then move down to 330. True old resistance, new support, right? This is supply zone where everybody's got all kinds of things to sell and nobody's buying. And this is the demand zone where people have things to buy and they chase it up all the way. And so 340 to 330, let's see how that works from a butterfly perspective. 340, 330, 320, that's 83 cents, $10 move. If you take the iron condor and the butterfly, it's one is going to pay for the other, right? And if it goes all the way. Whoops, we can't take them at the same time because that is.
Could they share a strike?
No, they would because that's a long and this is a short. So maybe we do 3
Would just
25, 320. And then
Okay,
you can share the strike.
So I was going to say, this makes sense. So you're adjusting the iron condor there. What I was going to say is conceptually, would you move to a 1x3x2 and then maybe adjust to 320 strike on the butterfly? But you did it the other way. You did it on the condor. So I was just wondering which would make more sense. Looks like you answered that already.
Yeah, and actually either or is going to work pretty well there. Now, let's say you're bullish. They are looking for a $19 move. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they've priced $26, $27 into the move. And so that's almost, 50% more than what the market makers are saying. So a $20 move is going to put us right in the middle of the butterfly.
Perfect.
It's going to work out beautifully. If they are pricing themselves to, hey, we don't want to lose any money, it'll come right into our strike zone and we'll be in great shape.
Okay.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Awesome.
So those two. I'm going to snap a picture and just like I did last time, I'm going to put it in the Benzinga Pro
chat room. Perfect. And like we had mentioned, I think the last one that you did that with was Broadcom, ticker AVGO, and that was an absolute monster.
Banger. Yep.
Banger, right? Yeah. In fact, the news this morning was that it's had its best 2-day rally since its IPO.
I saw that.
So, Anne-Marie, your timing, it's pretty good. It turns out it's pretty good there. So that trade, really awesome stuff. Making the subscription less and less costly. That is for sure. Yeah. Okay. I have another one here for you. I don't know if this is going to work, so I'm kind of excited here. Ticker WM Waste Management.
That's so funny.
Is that also on your list?
Yes, also on my list. All right. So, I got to tell you, if you don't mind picking up garbage, you got work for life. In Michigan, you're in Chicago, though, right?
I'm in Chicago,
In Michigan, there was a huge whatever with these guys in the mob in the trash industry. Oh, my gosh. You got to ask one of the guys that lives in Michigan about it. It was just insane. It wasn't Waste Management. It was somebody else, but it was a crazy story. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I think doesn't that go back to the Jimmy Hoffa days, right? Because the mob owned a incinerator in Hamtramck, and one of the mysteries was that his body was there.
It might certainly be, but this was brand new. This was like 2013 when I was
mob and trash removal. I mean, it sounds like the universe is in order there. So okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at the chains. And let's see. Oh, this is why I didn't write it down on the other list. Okay.
I was going to say, I didn't check the option chains.
Here's the thing. This is a chart that's worth looking at, since what it's done is fail its breakout. So here we go. 213, line in the sand, looks above, collapses below. Looks above again, goes a little while longer, collapses below. And so my thought is that it's sitting in a very wide range. So if you're looking to buy this one, I'd set an alert for about 200 and see what happens from there.
Okay.
Yeah, 200 to see what goes from there. The one I wanted to talk about,
CIEN, that was another one. And since I was doing the ones that you were already thinking, figured I might as well mention it.
We did talk about that. Yeah. This one's on a freight train to the north, right?
Yep. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure we did this one.
Yeah, I can't remember. Wow, That is really breaking out. I would not have expected such a wide run. But it is a couple of dollars off its low. Top end about 100. When do these guys report? March. So we're in the clear for
They
that
just
sort of
reported,
thing.
I think.
Oh. Yeah. So if we trade in the direction of trend and we go, hey, I think this is going good. Let's see. Let's see what happens in January. You could easily put yourself in a 90, 95, 100, a 1x2x1. Only $5 wide though, so it doesn't give the chart a lot of room to breathe. The pricing in January makes it a little sticky, so it becomes super expensive if we make it $10 wide, simply because there's just no premium down here because the chart doesn't move like that. So I don't see anything I love there other than, if you're looking for me, I would suspect that this thing would give us some kind of fade.
And it looks like that's what we did. We took that
Yeah.
single 75 put last time.
Yeah. I would think that would be the more interesting thing to do, but it has not shown itself to be ideal. So I think I'm going to still leave it there and get a peek at it. Let's see, 72. Let's make it 75. All right. So what I wanted to look at was it Lennar or
that has earnings tomorrow after hours,
right.
So that would not surprise me. And the home builders have all been kind of moving down recently.
Yes, right. So they're moving. It's weird. Retail sales numbers came out, and everything that's homebound was very soft. And so, like furniture and appliances and that sort of thing. But take a look here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months testing $150. 8 months. So the first group likely to be buyers. That's my guess. First group likely to be buyers. If the buyers can't hold, the next ledge is 128. So there might be some kind of strangle here. Let's see how expensive they are. A little bit of all. Okay, let me look at the chart again. 160 and then 140. Let's see what. Yeah, it's expensive. So if we were to do a butterfly, oh, good heavens. If it's not one thing with me, Ryan, it's totally another.
Sounds like me too.
130, 120, a little expensive, but it's right in the wheelhouse. That's the downside. The upside is 170, 180, 190. Oh, why do I keep touching the wrong buttons? All right.
That actually looked like it was correct too. I was kind of puzzled as to looked like you clicked on the right thing.
170, 180. Control. 180.
There we go. There we go.
Okay, so the upside is 58. Now the downside is 110. The downside, let's see if a 1x3x2 will save us here from a 1x3x2. Yeah, half the price.
Well, so that's 1x3x1.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. There we go.
Yeah. Well, still, we're looking at about, so no risk. You've got no required margin on the 1x3x2 here, 90 cents. I think that's the better one to look at from that space. What are they charging? 15 bucks almost. And the market maker, 8 and 6 is 14. And the market makers are only saying 9. So we've got it 2x here. So very unlikely that 30 is going to be the one that we see. And, if it ends up blowing the doors off of something, then we can leave it there. But I think a 1x3x2 could also work for the call. And that's, let's see what that one is. So we have 1x3x2. Yeah, 40 cents. It's not much cheaper, but I mean, if you're buying 5 of them, it ends up being a fair bit cheaper, So I like those. I think those. I think those are good.
Real good stuff there on Lennar. So that was good. We did Accenture. Couldn't really do much on waste management. Updated on Tesla. Update on now another new trade on Lennar, which of course reports earnings tomorrow after hours. Okay, Anne-Marie, we did it. We did it once again. Right on time.
Busted knuckle and everything.
I mean, look, like I said, sometimes you have to fight through it. Busted knuckle, nothing here. Got a nice pack on that. We'll go out there and get it done. Anne-Marie, awesome stuff. Thanks so much again for joining us here today. And we're going to see you on Friday.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Take care, Anne-Marie. Give Anne-Marie, hit the like and subscribe for her. Give her applause on the way out. Thank you very much, folks, for everything here today. Another great show. We've had another great week. As we inch closer and closer to Christmas, we continue to print money for our Christmas budget. So really, really good stuff. Stay green. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow morning.